but I'm for at least having open chassis.
Yeah.
Like, the engine stuff gets pretty expensive, and people can go down big tangents with that.
Yeah.
But the chassis, like, to me, having an open chassis would allow the manufacturers not to have to build something new every year.
What's up, guys? Josh with Paparazzi Imaging and Films. Welcome back to the Vignette podcast. As you can see, I have Brian and Jacob Yurk, Jake's mechanic, two of the best in the industry, I think. But yeah, welcome, guys. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
For sure.
Thanks for having us.
For sure. So we're here at Deadwood, round 3. What would be round 5 and 6?
4 and 5.
4 or 5.
4 and 5?
Yep.
For you guys?
That's a lot of math for me.
Yeah, for real. Me too. I just go like round 3 through the schedule. Stop 3.
It's the third race. That's how I say it.
Yeah, that's how I say it too. Yeah. So today was testing, Thursday. How was testing for you guys?
It went as expected, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't learn too much new, but we're about where we were last year, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is good. Never go backwards, but.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And the altitude, I'm sure, is challenging, because we're 5,000 up from where we are in Minnesota.
I think it's like 45 or something.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Like
45.
In Fargo area, it's 1,250 feet or something like that. So.
Mm-hmm.
But not too big of a difference, but just enough to play a factor in it.
Right.
Yeah. You never really know where you stand until tomorrow. Like, it's always like, we were just talking about it,
Yeah.
It's kind of a crapshoot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and you're testing on a flat track, so it's like if there was jumps, it'd probably be a little bit different.
Yeah, you never know what Kevin's going to do at the start tomorrow. He could have moguls there, and, we practiced flat 100 feet today.
Right.
So it's probably not going to be that,
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Might be completely different tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he designs like a really good track for Deadwood. I think he should like at least have like a wall or something. Like the olden days, like when Hibbert was his 100th win, and he was jumping over that wall, and then everybody started doing it.
That, remember when they used to have, so that was when they had the start on the other side of the track, right? Because there's a fence that goes across. Yeah,
it was behind the grandstands. And then you went straight, and then you made a left. Yeah.
Right, but then, so, there's a fence where the finish line is now.
And that was back in with the Tucker rule back then.
Right.
Too.
Right.
I mean, and it was like a 90. You shot all the way across the track, and then it was a 90.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which...
Because remember when...
It made for interesting starts, I can tell you that.
Yeah, everybody on the outside would get pushed way out.
Yeah.
Except for 2018.
Yeah.
But no, like... Back when, remember, Trevor Layton was the first one to ever hit that wall jump. Remember that?
No.
Were you here for that? Trevor Layton, I think, was the first one, and there's a fence underneath the finish line right now on the grandstand side, and that's why they always had a wall there, because they'd had the finish line on the other side.
Yeah.
And then they'd put a wall to like cover the fence, but now they just moved the finish line over to the grandstand side.
I see.
So I don't really remember Tucker's.
I think maybe the first year that I came back out here, the finish line was on the back side of the track.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why they had the wall. Maybe a wall would be fun.
I think so.
Yeah. Maybe we should tell Kevin.
We could.
Yeah. Just like something. Or like at least like ISOC should have your guys' input on like track design.
Well, they've got a long straightaway now. They should definitely do like a big jump back there on the other side. Because they have more straightaway than they've ever had now that the start's changed.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So the straightaway, like after you hit the finish now and you go turn right, that straightaway is probably 50 feet longer than it usually is. So there's going to be more room for something.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully. Deadwood's always good.
And there was a lot more snow than last year.
Yeah.
So, and I was talking to Kevin at Canterbury, and he's like, we haven't had this much snow to play with, and I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
And like Jake's saying, with the starting line being different, like it opens up that corner even more.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
It'll be interesting.
Deadwood's always good.
It is.
Yeah.
Tight racing like you like.
Yeah. Tighter the better.
Yep.
That's what she said.
He loves changing bumpers.
Yeah.
That's his favorite thing.
The short break is brought to you by our fine friends at CNA Pro Skis. Whether you're on the mountainside, looking to elevate your riding skills, or even just outride your buddies, CNA has stepped up the game and made the new standard for mountain riding skis. The new TMX ski is going to make your sled handle the best out on the mountainside. Scott Iyer, Jaden Ballard, Hayden Troop, and Mav Walker all ride on this ski. And they have a handful of other skis for different applications, from snowcross, watercross, trail, and any other application that you are looking for. Hit up caproskis.net and get yourself a brand new set of skis.
I ain't bad. But yeah, it makes it more interesting, in my opinion, that I'd rather see people trade a little paint and the whole group stay together rather than be spread out.
Yeah.
And I think it's more exciting for the fans to watch that too.
For sure. And then you could have a little bit of a rivalry in the mix of racing too.
Yeah.
You know, somebody bumps in, all right, I'm going to try to get him back.
Not that you're dirtying anybody or on
Right.
purpose or anything, but it's just the nature of the beast to have being on a smaller track. You know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not like moto where we have hundreds of lines and we're, so skinny that we can fit anywhere.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Hey, No,
so
all right, Michael Scott.
you started it.
Hey, I'll end it.
No, so the tighter racing, I think. Well, I don't know. I must like it because we do good at it. Usually we do pretty good, but there's usually like 5 battles on the track at one time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
There's always 2 guys battling with each other. And that's not always the case when you open the track up. And it's a lot bigger, It's more fun sometimes when you open the track up because you're going 50.
Right.
But you get kind of spread out a little bit, where the tight track, like you're pretty much breathing down somebody's neck, or they're breathing down your neck the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, and it also, to me, obviously starts are crucial at any track you go to, but if you get a 4th or 5th place start off the line, the first and second guys aren't just going to walk away from you because they have better vision or
Right.
whatever, You're still going to be in a group.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you might be able to go from 5th to 3rd or 2nd on a smaller track.
Right.
You can make up ground. It seems like you should be able to make up ground more on a big track, and maybe that is the case for some guys.
Yeah.
But it seems like you can make up ground fast on a small track too, just the same.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is, but it.
Less ground to make up.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
And you want to push harder.
Yeah. There's less ground in between you. So if on a track you're only a half a second faster, well, if the track's 19 seconds long, that half a second's a lot compared to 50 seconds long.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I guess you can compare the two. Like Fargo, if you made a mistake and you went down, there's no way that you're going to catch that guy out front.
Yeah, right.
That you're trying to go after.
And there's really no way, unless you completely wad up and you don't get your sled started, the guy behind you isn't going to catch you either. So you just roll your sled back over and you don't lose a position.
Right.
Nothing. You lost a little time. But.
Yeah. And a chance to get the overall if you were in that position.
Yeah. If you get caught in a first lap battle, like Canterbury was kind of like the border, like you could still make up time. If you get caught behind a guy for 3 laps and you lose 4 seconds on somebody, you could still make the ground up.
Right.
You didn't lose 8 seconds, right? It's I don't know. It's the smaller tracks are just fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
We just like them.
Yeah.
We like them because everybody hates them.
One of my favorite tracks last year was Sioux Falls.
Oh my God, the mud.
Is that not the craziest thing you've ever heard?
Like, that is.
I would have if
we
we
want to talk about something that happened on the freaking Gypsy.
I
Trail.
know, yeah.
That's controversial.
controversial.
Yeah.
I voted to race at Geneva. Whatever.
Are you kidding?
Just run the pros. There was enough snow there.
No way.
Yeah, sure.
To do a start, maybe.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been.
Our goal-
Obviously they would have tore the whole ski hill up, and it wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
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 But if
Sleds
nobody
would've been
if
destroyed.
nobody wants to race at the venue, and we want to race at the venue, that's good for us.
Yeah.
I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah.
Take us back to.
No, I didn't mind any of the races last year. They were all good, I thought.
I think would you say that because there was such a challenge?
Yeah,
They were
I mean
good?
the conditions just was one more adversity that you had to overcome. I mean, big deal. Like,
Right.
you have to overcome stuff every weekend, whether there's snow or not.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Smoking like a true legend.
Hey,
Yeah,
yeah, you've been in the sport for how long? Like 20 years?
about 30.
It's a long time.
97, 98 season was when I started with Greg Hyde at Polaris.
And then that trickled into Yamaha, right?
Yep, 2 years with Greg. 1 year, the second year with Greg was out of Hot Seat's shop, Forest Lake, and then from there I went to Yamaha from 98, 99, or 99, 2000 to 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Then Yamaha quit, pulled out,
Yeah.
and then I got back in with Yamaha in 08 in the cross country side.
Mm-hmm.
Till 16, then CBR. After
Then you
that.
took, I guess you did work for CVR the year that after. You just weren't a mechanic.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I helped out a little bit with the four-stroke Yamaha program when it was based out of Mike Carver's shop in
Was
St.
that
Hilaire.
Boss?
No.
Oh, that was just factory.
It was
Yeah.
after Boss.
Oh, when they came out with the Nitro,
Yep.
like the remodeled Nitro.
Yep. And Walls were building the front suspension on it.
Yeah.
Steve Martin's mechanic, his son got hurt racing, so he had to leave. So I took his spot for the last 3 races with Steve Martin.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also already doing cross country development with Jesse Strag and Greg Merrier and the Yamaha crew,
Yeah.
and we would do that development out of my shop.
Jeez.
So.
You're almost like Tim Bender. Like
I don't think that. Tim's been around a long time.
Yeah.
He's probably forgot more than I know about stuff.
Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah. But like before you guys got together, you were with Polaris, right?
Mhm.
Sport light.
Yeah, no, there was no sport light back then.
No?
it was just sport. Yeah, so I went from. Well, I raced. My first race was on a 550 fan, like a Skidoo, just regional stuff, and then we moved to Polaris because it was just like a good support program kind
Right.
of thing. And then we did some sport, did 3 years of sport on a Polaris before I went to CBR.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that the whole plan? Like, were you watching him when you were on
I
CBR?
got hired at CBR after Yamaha pulled a pin in 16 on cross country stuff, and not everybody knows, but Betsy, their main mechanic, is my first cousin.
Oh.
So
Wow.
it kind of was. I still wanted to go racing, so I just called Dwight and Betsy, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll make room for you." And at the time, there was still open mods or open chassis sleds.
Yeah.
So they kind of hired me to help build open parts and open sleds for Logan. So I didn't really have a rider that first year.
Oh, so you're kind of like
Just
wearing
a
all the hats.
fabricator type of guy.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was with I was with Ethan my first year on CBR, and then Ethan was kind of just getting into having a family and whatnot.
Yeah.
So he got out of it, and then that opened the door. Me and Brian started working together.
Nice.
And then it kind of worked out because then the next year in 18 they got rid of the open chassis, so
Yeah.
didn't have that to work on. So I just became his mechanic. And
How weird was that, like going from all that tuning, all that development to just like straight out of the crate from the manufacturer? Like, did it kind of take the wind out of your sails or no?
I mean, a lot of people probably
Because
know.
you're a mastermind.
I don't even know what the word would be, but I'm for at least having open chassis.
Yeah.
Like the engine stuff gets pretty expensive, and people can go down big tangents with that.
Yeah.
But the chassis, like, to me, having an open chassis would allow the manufacturers not to have to build something new every year.
Right.
But powers to be can decide that, so I don't. I mean, we've had our input on it, and maybe someday it'll go back to some type of open chassis. I mean, restricted, but
Yeah.
it depends on how the industry goes. I mean,
You know, I was telling Jake earlier, and this is kind of my 2 cents, like looking out from the outside in, is if like you in your position could develop something for a sled, let's say they bring back the open chassis, and then you go to sell it at the end of the season, somebody's going to want that sled because it's hand built by you, and it's parts that they're never going to be able to get. Just like an old Hibbert sled or Tremblay sled back in the day, it becomes a piece that somebody can now own, and it like you go to sell your sled now, and it's like, well, everybody's selling a Skidoo.
Yeah.
Okay, how many Skidoo?
And then everybody starts cutting their throat on each other's throat on what the price on the sled is, and all of a sudden you're selling a year-old sled that you paid $12,000-$13,000 for, and you got to sell it for $5,500.
Right,
Because
exactly.
everybody's selling them.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that's good for the industry as as like a team perspective, because then it's like, okay, we don't want to hold on to these sleds or eat our shirt on them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're us, we just get to run them 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row.
It's going on like ever since Tucker retired at 16.
Yeah.
They haven't changed.
Yeah. When in 2020 we had to rebuild chassis too. Cat didn't produce sleds in 2020 either. And it's, I mean, if you can get the chassis, like the service chassis, it's not bad, because now like this year, like I went through every nut and bolt rivet on them sleds. Like when you get one out of the crate, some teams do that, some teams just slap skis on it and go.
Right.
But you know that everything's done the way it needs to be done when you have to completely rebuild the chassis then to use again.
Yeah, putting the service chassis under it. I mean, the sled's brand new.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the parts are reused.
Yeah, some nuts and bolts here and there, but
the parts that are going to be replaced no matter what.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A-arms, any miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah, and even like back in the old pro open mod days in the 90s and 2000s, like at Yamaha, we would, like, if we found a semi-pro kid or a sport kid that was looking good and needed some support, like we would give him our old mod sleds from the year before, and they would race those. But obviously, I'm not looking to get sport open back. Nobody needs that.
That would be wild.
Man, that would be chaos.
But then those, we would pass some of those chassis down, so just to get more people in that class on your sled,
Right. Yeah. So so your desire in snowcross would be open chassis?
To an
extent.
I mean, don't bring back the carbon fiber and the titanium and all, but how it was when it was done, when they got rid of it, like I think they should bring that back, but keep the engine stock.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that way, like if your manufacturer that you're with, and maybe they don't build a sled that year, or maybe they did something on the sled and it didn't work as good as it did last year, well, you're tied. Like, that's what you got.
Right. Like the old Rev, when they came out with it was a shitty sled.
Yeah. And like with an open chassis, like you can fix it to become competitive again for that year. Until the manufacturer can address the issue that they had. Like maybe something came up in testing or didn't come up in testing.
Right.
That when we got to the track, it did.
Yeah, how much can the manufacturer really test?
You can't.
Right.
In the summertime, like, is that the only testing they do? Is like going out to Wyoming or something?
You can test until you're blue in the face, until you get it with an actual pro level rider on a track in competition.
Beating the crap out of it.
Yeah, there's stuff that breaks that you would have never broken testing.
Right.
And there, you can take what you've learned in that situation where you had to make a change, and because the open chassis is open, you can take what you've learned, and then there you go. You just did the testing.
Yeah.
So now it's done.
Because if you don't have that, like as the manufacturer, in my opinion, until you that thing hits the racetrack, you don't know if it was the right way to go or not. Where if you can test throughout the season prior to that, those new parts,
and then go into the
it's already tested, and you know it's going to work for the kid that's in the sport class that doesn't have the parts support, and he breaks all these things that never came up in testing because you didn't get to test it.
There's no pace like racing.
Yeah,
you just can't replicate it.
No.
And you just can't. Even at the practice track, you don't want to hit stuff as hard as you do when you have no choice.
Right.
Yeah.
You got a guy breathing down your neck. You have to skip over the top of this really sketchy section. You're not going to do that at the practice track.
Yeah. For sure. And like when you were coming up in the sport class, like what what was your desire? Like, what was your end goal? Obviously, you wanted to go pro, but like, was it to be on a pro mod sled because they were cool at the time?
Yeah, I would say. I mean, that was like one of the perks of being a pro, I guess.
Yeah.
Would be that you could kind of get on those cool sleds and whatnot.
Right.
But then you just adapt as time goes by. You know, I
Right.
mean, we've still reached our goal for sure. Was it a kind of a bummer? I mean, I don't really know. I mean, maybe, but I didn't really think about it. I guess.
Right.
I just thought getting to the top level
Of the sport.
pretty much just so everybody would stop calling me crazy was my goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still think you're all crazy.
For sure. Even moto guys think you're crazy.
Well, but most people think you're crazy just because you want to do something that's
Not normal.
like just because you want to go and like be a pro.
Right.
They're like, well, it ain't gonna happen. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
So that
right.
was like my driving force. I just wanted to do it because everybody told me better have a backup plan.
Yeah, right, right.
And I was
right.
like, I'm not gonna have a backup plan.
Yeah. I'm gonna make
That
this
is your
worse.
backup plan.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But like, have you ever ridden a mod sled?
I rode Logan's the last year, but I mean,
Was that before they changed the chassis when Hibbert designed the new sled?
yeah,
That was the
Okay.
first. Well, it was the first year with the front structure different.
yeah. They were that was the putts when they had the pipes under the seat, 137.
Yep.
They had pipes under the seat?
Yep.
Holy crap. I
Putts.
thought, I did not know that. I only
Well-
saw Shearing had their pipes go through the seat.
Well, so like, it was kind of a modified version. Steve at Speedworks, it was their kit. Like him and Kirk and them guys built that kit, and it kind of just shoehorned over in the engine compartment, but it exited under the tunnel
Yeah.
Wow.
because there's no coolers in the tunnel, and that's where the exhaust came out.
Gotcha.
But
That
And
sled was stiff.
it was also well, that's because it was Logan's. Sorry, Logan. But I don't even lost my train of thought there.
You're talking about Shearing
That was the
sled.
first year also of the EFI motor. So like
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
that was a stiff learning curve for Arctic Engineering and Steve, and I mean there was a lot of things to sort through there. So it was a rough go
Yeah.
for the first part of the year. So,
Hmm.
but they got figured out. So that's where
Yeah.
we're at today.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. Dang.
Yeah,
How
that was-
how it all develops is crazy. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people involved that you
Yeah.
never see either. Like it's the engineering guys at CAT or Polaris or Skidoo.
Mhm.
Like those guys that's their job. Like every day they do that stuff.
Yeah.
It gets monotonous at times.
And just like what we said before, we went out and rode them out west, and we thought everything was fine, and then you get it on a real snowcross track in a real race situation like the stock ones, that I was riding, and
Yeah,
they
in
just
17.
fell on their face,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was a difficult year. That was a difficult
Especially
year.
like for CAT, like they came off 2016. I mean, obviously Tucker had his success, but they also won the Pro Light
with Montana,
class.
right?
Yeah, in Montana. Just won
Yeah.
in
Yeah. Didn't
16.
he go back to back? Didn't he win Pro Light twice?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I know he won it once and never won a main, which is the coolest thing.
That is strange. I remember hearing that at Salamanca. He was like, he has not won a.
And I think that was 16. Pretty sure that was 16.
Yeah, it was. I know that he won it in 16.
That was when we were on the other side of New York, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. First year.
Because 14,
Ooh.
15 was my first year, and we were on that side, and then 15, 16 we were on that side again, and then the following year they changed it.
15, 16, we were on that side. It was a huge track.
Yeah.
But I was still on Polaris. And then 16, 17, I think we moved to the other side. Gosh, I don't know. That's a tough one. I can't.
Well, it was the last year that Leighton was racing, and then
Okay.
the following year they quit, so, and that was 16, 17.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they like again back to Articat's development on that. I don't know the whole inside story of it by no means, but I do like. I'm pretty
Development on what?
on the fuel injection side of it, going
Okay.
going from 16 to 17.
Yeah.
Like, they had already started that development on the cross country sleds in like Brian Dick's Sioux sled. They won the Sioux. I'm pretty sure it was 17 that year they won the Sioux, and that was an EFI sled.
Really? Dang.
So and that's kind of like it was part of Steve's project and stuff. And
Wait, are you
Speed
talking
Works?
about Herf and Selby? Or was that when they won it?
Yeah. Well,
That was 18.
Was it 18?
Yeah,
Oh.
because that was the year we had all the success. Same
Well,
year.
so the first when they went back there, when they were there in 17 though, they were like super competitive, and it was Brian Dick and I think Wes on
Okay.
the Sioux sled.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember right, like a lot of what was in that package was also going into that 17 snowcross sled, the EFI snowcross sled. I think.
I gotcha.
I mean, from the very beginnings of me being inside the CBR part of it.
Right.
That's kind of how like I was piecing things together.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time in 16, we were running Yamaha's 4-strokes at the Sioux, and that like Simon's and Dick's sled was just crazy fast. That thing was unbelievable. Like they probably had 3-4 mile an hour on us, and we thought we were fast.
Yeah.
Holy. Dang, out of 4-stroke.
Theirs was a 2-stroke, but
Oh,
ours was a
2-stroke?
4-stroke. But we were still hitting. We were probably 120 down the backstretch at the Sioux, but then them guys would come flying by at like 122, 123.
My goodness.
It's
That's
fast.
crazy.
Yeah.
Jeez.
If you've never been to the Sioux, it's pretty fun to watch.
I've never been. I want to check it out. But
You should go.
I saw that they canceled it this year.
The Sioux? No, they canceled the cross country 500.
Oh, I gotcha.
The I-500.
I-500. Okay, I was getting it mixed up then.
Well, and the Sioux is called the I-500.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
it's kind of confusing.
What?
It's a little weird, but it's like the Sioux 500, but it's also
Yeah.
the I-500.
So then they just add a name in front of the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's-
So then you're just throwing everybody for a curve.
Yeah.
That's...
I used to get confused when we talk because everybody would start talking about the I-500, and my dad always called it the I-500, the Sioux.
Yeah.
He'd call it the I-500. So everybody's talking about the I-500, and I'm like, what are they talking about? They're going, from this to this. I'm like, it's a 1 mile track.
Right. Right.
And I would get super confused too.
That's a Michigander in you.
Yep.
Nice. Nice. But you, like, going back to snowcross, you, what was it, your second year in Pro Light with CBR, you had the red plate?
Yeah.
And then, did you win Pro Light?
No.
No?
We were
'Cause I
5
remember
points.
seeing you at Michigan at Soaring Eagle with red plates.
Yeah. Me and Dan traded the plates back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Like,
good year.
It was. I mean, yeah, it was the year of the cat. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
for sure.
It was. Everybody knows that year was a little bit biased. Like, but it gave me confidence to help me to propel me through the rest of my career.
Right.
Because I don't know if it was my riding that really did all the work that year. The cat was amazing. And me and Dan, and then like most of the races, it was me, Dan, and Nisi Kellstrom or Martin Moland. So it was all cats. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And me and Dan had a fun time, man. Like trading it back and forth, and then I basically just threw it away at Geneva.
Well,
Absolutely
neither
threw it
one of
away.
you could stay on your sleds at Geneva.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
Remember
I think Dan was off a couple times.
Well, he was, yeah, but he had a little bit better weekend than me because
Yeah.
I remember I got 11th the first day, and it was like, oh my gosh, like talk about crack under the pressure. And then the second day I won everything.
Yeah,
Because I was just mad.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough. So
No.
Dan played it smart the second day. I think he took he took a third, but it was a distant third. He's just hitting his marks,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, it was kind of a bummer, but I don't know. I've actually Mike Schroeder,
Yeah.
I think 2 times has after that year said on air that I won the championship. So
Really?
sometimes I run with it.
Dang, so he called you the champ early before.
No, like the next year and the year after.
Oh.
Like my first year pro, he was like, and Yurk got a championship in 2018, in pro light.
Oh,
I'm like,
dang.
sweet, man.
Did he?
He
He must
was
not have been at the
close.
last race.
I don't know. But I just sometimes, somebody asks and I'm like, yeah, But Dan won that championship.
Oh, man. Just totally pulled the rug from Dan.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure he just, mistake, right?
Yeah.
Because it was so close, and we traded the
What
points.
was the point gap?
5 points.
Oh,
I think we were 7 in the lead going into Geneva.
Yep.
nice
And-
going.
And he
man.
won the first day, and I got 11th.
Yeah.
Like, bad day.
Anything but 11th would have been great.
Yeah. Like, maybe, 8th would have been great.
Would
you know?
would that have been the first championship for CBR at the time? Like,
Well, no, I
pro
think Logan won.
Logan did Pro Light.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Logan won
semi-pro. Semi-pro,
Mhm.
back in the day.
back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a fun year.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah.
And how
You almost couldn't do nothing wrong.
No, yeah.
You could just do anything you wanted.
We could throw, the Deadwood setup in New York,
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
Dang.
We didn't actually, but
No. But yeah, it wasn't.
a bit biased.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all right though.
That if I didn't have the talent to get it done, after that year I believed I had the talent to get it done. And that was probably the biggest thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was really what helped me that year. I needed that.
You needed
'Cause I think our best finish the year before was a 4th, and the other ones we were on our head.
Yeah.
So, and then we went to, and then the next year 11 podiums.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It was something. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Those guys at Cat played it smart that year.
Yeah.
They had a machine.
Well, and the other nice thing is the mod sled for the years prior to that were already Logan had a 136. I think Tucker was running a one. There was some
Yep.
136s out there, so
Yep.
the suspension part of it was kind of already.
Developed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they probably took the pro sleds and brought it into the pro lights.
Yeah. And I think they ended the year and they're like, well, there's no more mod chassis, so let's just everything that's good about this mod sled
Put it
is
on
going to
the-
be our production race sled.
Right.
And maybe there was some things behind the scenes, because why every single pro open sled in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, was a 136 or a 137. Everybody
think
was
so.
running long tracks.
Yeah, because
So-
we had a little tunnel extension thing
Yeah.
that we put on Logan's.
That I know the Polarises were long track, and the Skidoos had to have been.
The year before, but the Articat was the only manufacturer that said we're going to put a 136 on our production sled for 18.
Why would nobody else do that? That's what I wonder.
Why would you keep
That'd be a
going
question.
long,
Be a question for Junior and
Yeah, because
Lawrence.
I've-
Lawrence ain't there no more. but-
obviously the pro open sleds, they ran the 137s because they were better.
Yeah, well,
So then-
Shearing they almost won the points championship
Yeah.
that year.
So, but then they
Tremblay?
decided.
Yeah, and that was their Steve's open sled that year was ridiculous.
Tremblay
Yeah.
lost that championship because he blew a belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At New York.
No, at Geneva.
Oh, yes, it was
But-
Geneva.
yeah.
yes.
But they had tall spindles and 136 tracks and their
Trick stuff.
Yeah, their mods were top notch. It was awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did a lot of looking and taking pictures in the pits of Steve's mods, but
And then nobody said, let's do that with our stock sleds next year, except for Cat.
yeah,
That's what blows my mind. Because it was better. That's why they were running it in Pro Open
yeah.
the year before.
That's kind of silly.
Yeah.
It might be money,
Money.
budgets. who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That's
Most
a
likely.
lot of money to dish out for a sled.
I got to believe that whole thing cost Cat quite a bit of money making a brand new sled that year.
To switch that stuff, yeah. It was
Yeah.
all because it was
Yeah.
all new body work, and the area box is different. That front overstructure for the steering is
But
different.
it probably could have been the same amount for Skidoo because they have that really thin hood, and
Mhm.
that is like $300 if you break that.
Wow.
$400 just for the hood alone.
And it's flimsy.
Yeah.
and they
I think they beefed it up now with a little bit more
Did they?
reinforcements, but it's still, if you
Hmm.
break it, it's quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not as durable for sure. The Cat's got the durability down.
Yeah.
It's a durable
yeah,
sled.
they are durable.
Yeah.
They come race ready.
Yeah.
Compared to even some of the people have said oh, you guys, your snow flaps tied down already. Yeah, it comes that way. Yours doesn't?
Right.
Like,
And Polaris, they have to put frame braces on it.
Yeah. Oh, they got to do a lot more than that.
Bracing
Yeah,
stuff.
they got to do a
We
lot.
we have zero. Well, Arctic Cat came out with a newer, longer rail brace now, and then we use that. We tested it last year, and it worked better than the old rail brace did. So that
Was that the Catalyst skid or no?
it's similar to it.
Yeah.
The geometry is pretty similar to it now,
Mm.
and that's we work with the chassis engineers and did a lot of testing. And even at the all finish team was the first year we started messing with the different linkages, shock linkages,
Yeah.
and it just steamrolled from there. It got better, and if that's better, let's try this, and then that got better, let's try this.
Right.
And that's where we're at today. It's basically the same
So
skid that's in the RXC Catalyst.
so Cat was actually taking like what you guys were doing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's wicked because it's like
Well, and they,
didn't come out with a sled
And
for
at
it.
that time, Tucker was retired, and Kirk was no longer involved in the development. So not that they leaned on us to help do that, but
you were the big
You
team
got
at the
no
time.
and
choice,
and
yeah.
we were like, as a team, you're like, well, let's try to make this thing better, and that's how a lot of the suspension stuff came about.
Right.
Obviously, with the engineers saying, well, maybe try this because this is what we're doing for the future stuff.
Right.
And we were just open to test anything they had. So
Yeah. It makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
And you guys were testing a whole bunch at All Finish, right? Like almost
Yeah.
every
Yeah, and that was
day?
the time
a lot of
that
laps. Yeah.
that was the same era that the heavier crank came. So then there was testing to do with that,
Yeah.
and whatnot, and there was quite a bit of testing, but most of it really happened post season. I mean, there was a little bit mid season, I guess, suspension wise, but there was a lot of laps spun at that place.
I believe
Not all
it.
testing, but a lot of practice
of-
laps too.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
How would you guys like describe that time with All Finish? Like between two of you, like how would you?
Well, like our first year was great. I mean, Jake, obviously the second year he popped his knee in the first at Fargo, and he was done for the season, and I was kind of. The second season, I would just kind of float between. We had a couple sport kids,
Yeah.
Dom and Tanner
Johnson.
and then I would go and help Aaron and Anson, and then I just kind of float around and do whatever. If Jamie needed help, I'd help him. But
They were still on Cat.
Who?
that second year of all finish, yeah.
Yes, he was. He was the third guy.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But all in all, I was fine with the experience. Like Chad put his heart and soul into that thing, for 2 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it was incredible, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you told me one time that it was too much.
Yeah, well, it was for sure.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
too much.
It was a lot to. I mean, for the amount of guys that were working there and the amount of work that we had to do, and both years we ended up getting sleds a little bit later than what we would like to.
Yeah, well, like 2 weeks before the first
Yeah.
race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just puts that much more pressure on the whole team, and
Yeah.
it's and then we added 2 sport riders
Right.
and
And they were on year prior sled, weren't they? Or were
well,
they
we had re
They were on new
re-chassied a
stuff.
couple sleds for them to get like their practice sleds were a year old.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Sled,
But re-chassied.
Yeah.
The race sleds and everything were brand new.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like it was a lot, but I talk to Dan about it all the time, and for like a hot second I was like not into it after it all ended.
Yeah.
But now though, yeah, I
Would
would
you go
do it
back?
again in a heartbeat. Yeah, because like if they called tomorrow and said next year we want to do this, I would probably say no. But like if I could go back in time and make a change, I probably wouldn't, because it was the coolest experience.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it was the coolest thing. Just, I don't know, man. Like having the practice track there, Kevin building the track.
Yeah.
I talk about it with Dan and Anson all the time. We were like the 3 idiots. We had so much fun, but
Yeah.
like scattered. Scattered fun everywhere. Everywhere we went was a good time. You know what I mean?
Super team, man. That's what you get.
It was
Yeah.
amazing. Like the sleds were sweet, and the track was sweet, and there was just a lot going on. And I think that when you have when you have too much going on, it's hard to focus what needs to be focused on what matters most. You know what I mean? So I think that it was just,
and it wasn't not to anybody's fault. It was just there was a lot going on.
Just a lot, man.
Too many moving parts.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it was the parts wise.
Yeah.
Think about how many parts we went through.
Yeah.
5 guys practicing 4 days a week.
That's insane.
You know what I mean? Well, and there was only 4 guys because I didn't ride the second year, but okay. Or it was 3 guys the first year, and then it was 4 guys the second year. But the amount we practiced, and then you throw in the parts you break on race weekend, and I mean, just the belts budget, dude. That must have been nuts. I mean, I don't know what it was, but that's a lot of belts.
Yeah.
I mean, but you kind of just get lost in the.
And there was like on Chad, the team owners, like there was no exhaust, and every effort was put into that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you needed something, it was there. Like
right away.
Or if you needed to go testing, like he made sure that you were going. There was a place to test.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether it was on our track or we didn't have snow, so we went wherever we needed to go. We went.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't ask for more than that.
No.
Right.
I think for a certain person, it would thrive in the environment,
Right.
But it takes all sorts, and me personally, I thrive in this environment more. It's just smaller, and it just reminds me more when I was a kid.
Well, and it's completely 180 from where we were.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But we did we had a heated shop right at the practice track.
Right.
It was.
You had a lot.
I mean, it was amazing. I could have ran to the practice track from our house. We all shared a house together. It was like a tri-level house with a tri-level. Yeah, it was a tri-level with a basement. We had everything.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Very grateful for that experience, honestly.
For sure.
It was cool. Yeah.
And just for the effort they put into it was
A lot of effort.
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think that he should have kept going with it? Like even if he switched brands or found like a bigger sponsor to offset what was going on with Arctic Cat at the time, like do you think he could have done it?
It's a hard question because
Yeah.
would I have gotten 4th in points last year? I honestly don't know.
Well, that's you as a rider. That's not really the sled.
No, it's not this. It's the environment.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything. There's 1,000 factors that go into good performance on Friday.
Right. Yeah. The people
so
that's surrounding.
yeah, and
But just to put a for instance on it, like at all finish, like you didn't build one set of skis for Jake. Like if I was building skis, I built a dozen sets of skis.
because
So like
you're gonna go through them.
and
There's a lot of guys.
you don't get to focus on just your rider like you do in the setting that we're in now.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Like, and I tell people a lot. Like, I can see why Tucker's program was so buckled down.
Right.
Like everything was, and when you're only focusing on one guy and that's the only thing you care about.
Yeah.
Everything is so you can make sure everything is spend more time on everything that you do.
Yeah.
and I care more about staying healthy right now,
Right.
as well,
Yeah.
right? So it's not
Because
just
if you're
it's
not
two
active,
ways.
If he's
It's a
hurt,
two-way
we're-
street.
You're done.
We're part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if they would have done it, kept going, I mean, if the deal would have been there, probably would have still been doing it, and it probably, I mean, I don't know, it's speculation, I guess, but would it have been better? I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that we would have learned a lot.
And it takes a few years to get settled into a
Yeah.
team that size,
Right.
just to where
2
everybody
years ain't
where
enough.
everybody
No.
falls into place and
Mhm.
your role and it was starting to get figured out that way that second year and,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good
and
point.
it would have improved every year.
Right.
You could put us at year 5, and it probably would have been a completely different scenario. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
But year 2, there's just a lot of personnel, a lot of moving parts, and everybody's trying to find their place, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool though, man. Those
And
sleds.
I think a lot of the big teams probably go through that same. I mean,
It's a learning curve.
It wasn't an all finish thing. Like I've been on big teams most of my time, my whole career. It's always that way.
Right.
And then where's your expectations at and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Right.
Especially
and
for
especially everybody wants to win.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, you're not doing it to not win.
Right.
You know.
For sure. For sure.
So.
Yeah. Winning's tough though.
Yeah.
You know, it takes more than what you'd think, and it takes different than what you'd think as well. You know what I mean? There's a lot to it, and it takes a perfect storm. So there's a lot of things that need to line up, and if something's off, you know, if one thing's off, and you know, it can affect it. You know, so
right.
I don't know.
Especially with the caliber that you guys were at, like one thing can disrupt the whole program. Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way, but that's like obviously you guys know that.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Well, and that's why this is so much better, because there's less things.
Right. And
You
you
know
can
what I mean?
figure out problems faster and easier.
Yeah.
You know, rather than having to, like, oh, what happened at the practice track? Okay, why is the X doing this? You know, like,
yeah. And there again, it goes right back to like, okay, we fixed the problem on Jake's sled. Now we got to go fix it on 5 other sleds.
right. Yeah. It's
Yep.
all in
And-
one.
Yeah.
But this guy doesn't ride that way, so then his sled doesn't take that kind of abuse, or he likes his sled set up different. So then it wears this part down differently. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because this setup's different. And does he like that setup? Well, maybe he doesn't. And then this guy likes this setup, and it's just like, holy crap, you can get lost in the sauce there.
Yeah.
Just
You know?
just in clutching and suspension setup alone, like when you're dealing with 5 different riders, that none of them are the same.
Right.
Like it's
So it's like almost like obviously every rider has their own mechanic, but every rider needs their own clutch guy, tuner, mechanic, like shot guy. You know,
to an extent.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, one clutch guy can do it, but now that guy's tasked with taking care of 5 riders.
that's what I'm saying. Like if you had that job, like it would be almost easier.
It's very stressful.
If that one rider had those like 5 guys dedicated to him, and then down the line to each rider.
And then you run into
But then that's a lot of money that you got to dish out even more.
Yeah.
it is.
And I think some of them bigger teams with a lot of riders on them too, you get your setup that every team has a main guy. I mean, whether it's 2 pros or whatever, if it's 2 pros and they're equally talented, whoever's leading the points is the main guy.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of how it's always been.
Yeah.
So like
Team orders.
maybe them 2 don't run exactly the same clutch setup, but I would imagine if you got one guy doing the clutching on both sleds, they're probably pretty
close.
dang close.
Yeah.
But now you have 5 other guys, so do you just take that setup and give it to everybody, and this is what you get?
Right.
Well, that's not
right.
very fair to the sport guy that maybe that doesn't work for him.
And he does.
They do
He
that
doesn't
in
know how to
moto.
hold it as engagement, or
Yeah.
Yeah. That's totally different.
they
But
do that in moto. They
Oh,
just
dude, they
say
do
this
that in
works
moto.
for this guy. Everybody's got to run that.
You've never heard that from like Cooper 32 there.
Oh, Justin Cooper.
Yeah, Justin Cooper. He's like, yeah, I don't get the same setup as Eli or the other Cooper Webb.
They
He's like,
don't.
no, he doesn't.
He just runs whatever.
Like Eli is the main guy, and same with Cooper Webb, but then Justin Cooper won't get the same setup.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's happened at a few teams.
But it's almost the opposite. We're like,
Mm-hmm.
there's teams out there that like, our main guy runs this, so you should run. Like you don't.
Yeah.
This is what you're running.
Like, we
Right.
know this works.
We're not going to.
Yeah, we're not gonna
We're
give
not
you some-
going to. This.
yeah.
You're the same weight as that rider, so your shocks are going to be set up the same as that guy's.
Right. It should be. Yeah.
But that's hard though, because you put your feet 3 inches farther forward than that guy.
Right.
And then the suspension acts completely different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
For sure.
And that's where it comes down to, like, the whole point of it is when you only have to deal with one guy, like you spend more time, and your time is just spent with that one guy instead of trying to make everything that his setup work for the sport kid,
Right.
Or which
Yeah.
it isn't going to.
For sure.
Yeah.
So after the all finished deal kind of disintegrated, like how did you take that? Like, did you know immediately after the last race in Dubuque?
I think we had a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
I mean,
'Cause
well,
your
the
team
last.
photographer Tom, he knew.
Yeah, I mean the last race was April, and I mean, like there was a lot of talk about we don't know if we're gonna do it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just, but it wasn't like nobody said, "Hey guys, we're done."
Right.
After this race or anything, but there was like some speculation, and I never really dug into it too hard, and I really don't ask questions.
Uh-huh.
So, I just waited for somebody to tell me, and I think it took a month or something that it wasn't gonna happen.
And I don't. Nothing that we would have said or done was going to change.
No.
I mean, we weren't the decision makers on that stuff.
Right.
And you have to, as for them to, like, you got to do what's best for yourself too.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't what he was expecting or what his deal was or what his, maybe it was causing a lot of stuff for him too, and like,
Right.
I just can't do this no more.
Right.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard it was a lot of money.
I mean, yeah, a lot
that's
of money was
stress
spent.
right there, dude.
Yeah.
You know that
Yeah.
what was that trailer? 3 million? 2 million? 2.5?
no, it wasn't
No,
that
no,
much.
no.
I heard it was 2 million straight.
I really don't know.
I
don't.
Kevin gave me the number.
Yeah, and I never heard that number, but I don't know.
No, I think the trailer was less than $1 million.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Get
trailer.
outta
Sure.
here. No
Wasn't
way.
I think it was right around
The
the
truck
one.
itself is
Was I,
250.
I don't want to throw numbers out there if I'm not.
I don't know
fact-checked.
for sure either.
I'm sure somebody will.
Yeah, like I said, I don't ask questions. I'm just here for the race.
I get that. Yeah.
But I wasn't really like.
You were paid to go ride. That's what your deal was.
Yeah.
Perform. You
Right.
weren't a logistics guy.
No,
Yeah.
And you just wanted to ride your sled and have fun.
Yeah, and when that season ended, like we all pretty much had a feeling, and it was like basically the biggest thing was like, well, what are we gonna do? I mean,
Right.
we're gonna have to,
Yeah.
look for a ride or whatever, and
Right.
and usually you go through like a stage of like, I hate this sport. I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go work. I'm just gonna be a construction guy, and then like a month and a half goes.
I'm like, hey, maybe I can go buy a sled next year and actually ride.
Yeah.
I'm back there, I'm like probably way too temperamental, and everybody's like, whoa, this guy's like, he's he's stressed, but
Yeah.
I felt normal, but I felt like, screw this, I'm done.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna work construction. It's happened multiple times in my career. When things fall through, I'm like, this isn't worth it.
Right.
And then
But dude, I was laid off from Yamaha 3 times.
yeah,
That's so
every time you're
dumb.
probably like, screw this,
Yeah.
Well, but then the opportunity comes along, and you think, oh, I could make that work.
Well, you always
You
think
know?
the worst of
Yeah.
what happens, and then something else happens. You're like, holy shit, why was I so negative?
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
I like spaghetti, but I
Well,
shit on it.
and I'm sure other people have said this too, but like I always say, like if racing there's so much time involved and so much work involved. Like if you're not having fun doing it,
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's
I think that's anything. That's like
Yeah.
a life motto.
A lot of people don't know that.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
But they should know it. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, it's the key factor in success.
Right,
you
for
know?
sure.
And so that was our thing. It's like, dude, if we're not going to go and just have a good time,
yeah.
There's no point.
After
And
that-
like you're at it. I mean, if you go into it and you have, even if you're not doing well, but you're in an environment where you're having fun, whether you're getting 10th place or first place.
Right.
Like if you're not having fun doing it, it's
Yeah,
so
your
much harder.
attitude.
It's so much harder.
I cannot tell you how many times Rusty would walk up to me during, I want to say it was 2019, because we had that great season on CBR, and then the next year I had a broken leg and I sucked. And Rusty would walk up to me and he'd be like, you having fun out there? You got to have fun out there. And I was like,
I'm not having
No.
fun.
like, how do I have fun? Tell me, give me the potion.
Yeah.
Give
You
me
know,
the
because the
potion.
season before I had a blast. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
I mean, obviously, right? And it's like you learn so much, and then you just start to realize that the fun isn't always just inside your head. A lot of it's who you're with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of it's that immediate external environment plays a huge factor.
You were with me.
Yeah, I know. but my
Second
results
dad-
were horrible.
second dad here?
Yeah.
It's different when your leg's broke and you're
Yeah.
you're hobbling around and everybody's pissed because you can't ride and you
Your
can't
leg
do
was broke
good.
when we went to Duluth that
Yeah, I know. It was horrible. So that was like, that made it not fun, you know. It didn't really matter if who was with me. But then, like, when you're not,
I don't think Dwight
Mangled.
knew that your leg was broke at Duluth, though.
come on.
I don't know.
You don't think he did?
I don't. Did you tell him?
I don't know.
I don't think you told him.
Who's this?
Dwight.
Dwayne? Oh.
Well, maybe he was mad about that in the future then. I don't know.
You should ask him.
I was
next time you're
hobbling
up in
around.
Florida.
I mean, it wasn't hard to tell. I was limping around. Like, it was 4.5 months after I snapped my leg in two, and I was on a sled. It was horrible.
Damn. Oh, it was a femur?
No, it was a tip fib.
Weren't you putting like pads in your boots to try to keep cushioning it?
I was trying to do everything, man. But nothing really. It was just like a constant pain all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that if there's like a real bad pain going on, I just can't. It takes a good, healthy body to really push. And I don't know if I'm just a baby.
So you're not like a Joe Schmoder where he gets his hand smashed, couple fingers broken, and goes out.
I'd like to say I am. I'd like to say I am, but no, dude. If I have a broken hand, yeah. If there's a broken hand, a broken leg, a broken foot, it's tough.
What about arm pump?
I don't get arm pump.
Oh, so you
Very
are
rarely.
superhuman.
Very rarely. I mean, if you're uncomfortable, that's why you get arm pump, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I believe it comes from discomfort.
Okay.
So most of the time, I'm pretty comfortable now. I've got good setup, and I don't get it anymore. So.
I guess that's good, though.
Yeah. I also used to ride, I used to seat bounce everything. And I used to ride, hanging on like a monkey. And so, I was, gripped hard. That was even, 2018. You watch videos, I'm seat bouncing everything, and I'm sitting down everywhere.
Yeah.
I probably got arm pump a lot. But you got to stand up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had some good times there. We had some really good times.
The funniest one was when you got your handlebar stuck in your neck brace.
Yeah.
What was that?
At
Iowa. Sundown Mountain, first year at Iowa.
In 18.
Yep, it was 18. I was winning the heat race.
Yeah.
I come around the last lap, and
hooked his handlebar in his neck brace.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's video of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's on the video.
Dude, I mean, I laughed so hard when I watched that video because of Mike Schroeder's reaction. He has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
He thought I was having a seizure or something.
Oh no.
Yeah. I just went to
you
lean
leaned
it
it too
over.
much.
lay it over, and I don't no idea how that would happen, but my bar went right here, and it was under the neck brace, and I'm over here.
And it has that curl, so it's hard to get out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, just about took out the flag man.
Yeah. Well, I panicked because I knew
It was on the
guys
last
were
lap.
coming. Yeah, and I'm at the base of the finish line, and I can't turn right because I'm on the left side of the sled. So to turn right, I would have had to take my body,
Yeah.
over there. And so I'm I can't do nothing but go straight, but my sled's turned left towards the flag guy. Travis Kern passes me, and I just held her wide open, and I'm I gotta get across that transponder line.
Yeah. And then hop off.
And and my buddy Brian Allen was the flagger, and he's he jumped out of the way, and the flags went everywhere, and and everybody asked me what's going on, and I'm just holy crap!
I'm sitting in staging watching. I'm what are you doing?
Yeah, yeah. Gosh, that was really funny. I remember every time I see that video, man, I just crack up laughing. It's just Mike Schroeder's reaction, dude.
I'll have to look for it and put it in the podcast.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Sundown Mountain, Iowa, 2018.
Oh yeah, if you go back on you just
Light.
gotta go back on Snowcross's thing, the fan drop down thing.
Yep.
And then you can find it. Yeah.
Yeah, Pro Light.
That's good stuff. But now you don't wear a neck brace?
No.
No, that
Probably
was it.
ever
That was
since-
the calling
Dude, that
card?
was.
Probably
I'm
was.
pretty sure. Though that was my mom's rule when I was growing up. I had to wear a neck brace. And at some point,
that was
I think
a cool thing to do, though, too.
it was pretty cool for a while. Logie was wearing one, and we were all wearing neck braces.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Doesn't it just break your collarbone when you crash that?
Well, yeah, but it's better than compressing your neck.
Controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I like the freedom, man, of no neck brace. And knock on wood, I haven't landed on my head hard enough to really need that thing. But I think I just got old enough to where I said, you know what, Mom?
You actually grew some
make my
balls
own
and told your
decision.
mom.
I'm
not
not
doing
wearing
it.
the neck brace. But it was I was, 20 years old? when
Did
I
you
was
put it
on
in
the
a,
neck brace?
Probably.
glass tank in her
Should have sent it to
Great
her.
idea.
in the living room?
I should put it in a mount.
Yeah, above
For Mother's Day.
the fireplace.
There
Sign
isn't
it.
too many people that wear them anymore, is there?
No.
There's a few junior
you see,
riders.
the junior kids wear them. I understand.
Yeah.
But then they're the most flexible. When kids are Gumby.
Those kids don't need, those kids don't need nothing, dude.
Yeah.
You can throw them off of a 3-story building.
Their bones aren't all brittle. And
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Try being 27. Man, that's a tough one. I probably should put the neck brace back on.
Try being.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
And then you'll get it stuck in your handlebar when you're leading a race at the end of the last lap.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always that dumb
There goes
stuff,
Jake
man.
again. Oh, he just got his handlebar stuck in his neck brace.
We did some dumb stuff. Remember when I went out and did a moto on the On the no shocks.
Yeah. That was,
On the what?
well, at CBR we had like you take the shocks out, the front shocks out, and put like
Rods.
put rods in there, and then so it would stay up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were doing some clutch testing or something, and DJ is like, Jake, go take that and do a couple runs on it and see what you think. He changed something in the clutching. Little did it had steel rods in it.
So he goes on the track.
This is how bad of a test rider I am.
Yeah.
Oh my!
So he
I
goes
didn't
out
know.
there and does a couple starts, and he's like, "Oh, it kind of feels good. I'm going to bring it on the track and hit a couple jumps with it." Hits to the tabletop at CBR and just horseshoes both things.
Yeah.
We're watching out the window. Like, what is he doing?
I couldn't tell when I went out and did the whole shots that there was nothing, and I was just,
Like, even when
my
you,
head
like,
was up
climbed-
there,
Even when you climbed up to the track, you couldn't feel how stiff it was.
Dude,
Well,
like
it was
I
just that
said,
stiff anyway.
I'm just not. I don't know. Sometimes I just can't feel stuff, So I go out and I'm just like, I'm just gonna hit a double, whatever, because it's fun,
Yeah,
We're out the snowcross track, and so then it just
I think
Did you
it's
scorpion over the handlebars?
no, nothing like
it
the
just
whole-
blowed out like
the
you
front
blew
end
the
drop.
shocks off of it.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
but
got you.
they were still attached. They were just bent.
They probably
into a
didn't
Oh
even.
my god!
We just take the shock bolts and just run them through. Didn't even put nuts on it. So there probably wasn't even nuts on the bolts.
Yeah, they stayed in, but I was like, my nose was on the ground, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I got off, and I was like, oh great, now
I'm
I
pretty
gotta go
sure.
back to the shop.
I'm pretty
I
sure
gotta
one of them is.
explain this.
I'm pretty sure one of them is still hanging over my old bench at
I
CBR.
think it is. Yeah,
I'll have to next time I'm up there. I'll have to look, ask Betsy.
there's a million dumb stories like that. I was kind of an idiot.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
it was very organic though. I mean, I never tried to be dumb.
It just came naturally.
It's
Yeah.
natural.
Yeah.
That was your natural aroma. It was dumb.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
That is funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, Jake's probably been the longest rider I've had. I mean, Nathan. I kept dragging Nathan Titus back into racing for a few years, and he thanked me a lot for that.
It was Polaris?
I was at Yamaha.
Yamaha.
then. Yeah, I got him back into cross country racing later on, and then he went to hill climb after that for Yamaha.
Mm. For Yamaha, you said?
Yeah.
Wow. How did they do in Hill?
Oh, we. Don't quote me on it, but I think we won one of the classes at Jackson one year. I think.
Nice.
First 4-stroke to go over. Pretty sure it was.
Man, how heavy were they?
Uh
Sorry, continue your thought. Before
I don't even know. Like we had a guy out in Jackson. His name was Troy Johnson. Pretty sure Troy Johnson. So he owned LCC Customs in Alpine, Wyoming.
Okay.
So he was like me out there,
Yeah.
and because I don't know hill climb sled. I mean, I can build a chassis, but
Yeah.
I don't know what it takes to go up that hill. So we had him out there, and I would go out there and help every once in a while, whatever we could do.
Yeah.
But they were pretty trick sled. Like one thing that when working with Yamaha, like there was no like if you needed it, they just when
Kinda
they
like
were
the all
when
finish deal.
when they would race, they were in racing. Like
Yeah.
when we just want you to go out and support make the brand look good and win or do the best you can.
Lead blue,
And if
yeah.
you need something, just get it.
Yeah.
We didn't really have a budget really.
Right. It was an open checkbook. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was and it wasn't, but
Right.
and you can do that when you have people in your organization that you can trust to have an open checkbook and not abuse it. That
Right. And they're a
thing.
big enough company where it
Yeah.
wouldn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know.
And every time I worked at Yamaha, it was pretty much that way.
Yeah.
Like if if they wanted to get back into racing, it'd be pretty tough not to go back and work for them again,
Right.
even though you've been laid off 3 times.
So you're saying there's no bad blood?
No, not at all. No. Well, and they didn't like.
Well, I'm sorry, Jake, but I think Yamaha's coming back.
Yeah.
if they hire me, I'd be happy.
That would be
That,
sick.
if we could go,
Yeah.
we'd have a good time.
Well, and we tried building some pro cross sleds, and we went to Duluth with them with Steve Martin, and
Yeah.
Ben Limbaum and Matt, I drug Matt Boucher there, and kicking and screaming. Basically, he didn't want to. He just retired. Like, I don't want to go back there. But what's going to be different this time?
Yeah, you caught him with that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's good.
And we ended up going to Duluth and Michigan, the first 2 rounds, and then we went cross country racing after that. But we bought 600 snow pro crosses from Mike and converted them into 4-stroke.
Yep.
But that's kind of where I started learning about the difference between the production Arctic Cat chassis and the snowcross chassis, because there's a few differences there.
Yeah.
Like even the thickness of the tunnels, there's more gusseting, there's more bracing here and there, but that was a learning curve. Mike would only tell you just what, if you asked the question, then he would tell you. But of course, we were competitors, so
Right.
But we were on the same equipment. It's tough.
Yeah, that's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, it was a little bit. They would never tell you everything.
And that chassis took a lot more abuse with the 4-stroke in it.
Yeah, I mean it was 65 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
But even like those mods that we built in 2014 and went to Duluth with.
Was that X Games?
No,
No?
Doug Henry. We ended
Duluth.
up giving one of those snowcross mods to Doug, and he ran X Games with him for a couple years.
Yeah.
But they were 600s with 4-stroke motors in them.
Right.
But like the 4-stroke, we had reverse. We took all that jazz out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But they probably were 540, I think, which isn't too
Well, that's
bad.
about like
What's
a Polaris.
What's like the Cat now?
Ours is 485.
Yeah. 485.
Yeah.
I thought it was 496. Was that after? Was that?
Little
That was at
No,
all
wait.
finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
You made them heavier?
They were 505 at all finish
There were 505.
with all that wrap on it and stuff and paint.
That was the.
Oh my God, are you
that's the
serious?
crazy thing I was getting at. Yeah.
What? Yeah, because
The
all
weight
those
that we-
panels were painted.
The
right?
weight that we.
They were
had,
all
yeah.
wrapped with really heavy vinyl.
Yeah.
I thought they were spray painted.
We
Well,
tried painting them and it wrecked the plastic, so then we couldn't paint them because the panels would crack. The chemicals reaction of the paint and everything. That or the
Yeah.
paint would just fall off
Yeah.
of it. You know?
Right.
So then we started wrapping them because it worked better. But
Mm-hmm.
you add weight.
So we went from 485. That's dry though.
Yeah.
Dry. So we're probably like 495.
Yeah.
So it's 495 to 505. You could say.
Yeah.
Dang, so you were at like Yamaha weight.
Well, Yamaha was 560.
Yeah. Well, yours.
The Yamaha was the new Polaris.
Yeah.
You know, that's what Polaris is now. I think it's 5.
The 4-stroke, when at Yamaha, they did all the comparisons. Like if you take all of the 4-stroke stuff and all of the 2-stroke stuff that makes a 2-stroke,
Yeah.
and you weigh it all together, I think the 4-stroke engine package was about 60 pounds heavier than a 2-stroke.
So we had 10 pounds in wrap.
That's insane.
But that took a lot of work, but it looked great.
But if you look at, there's sleds out here that
Well, good thing
Yeah.
good thing you had dye subbed jerseys that didn't add any
That
weight.
didn't
Right.
You know.
Right.
yeah.
But those helmet wraps, or no, they
Those
were
were
painted.
signals.
That was one of
painted,
my
yeah.
conditions come when we started this team. I'm like, we're not wrapping anything.
We're putting stickers
Just
on.
stickers.
Yeah, like Jetty.
Very minimal
That's
amount
what
of
we do.
stickers.
Yeah,
And
I
that's-
think that's a cleaner look. You
It
know,
is a cleaner
honestly, like
But the all finish was a clean look because it was the same exact thing, but we have a black background, and that was a white
Yeah.
background. But the
Yeah.
white
Like
background
it just took so
work.
much to change that sled to a white sled because the plastic options weren't there.
Right.
Like if we
Right.
could have gotten white plastic, it would have been awesome.
yeah.
I mean, that sled looked so good because it was the same as we're doing now. It was clean. It was just simple.
Right.
But that white background took so much work.
right.
So that's why we're like, yeah, we're just going to buy some stickers. This is
Yeah.
way better.
We even got more on there than I would even like to see, but
Yeah.
Just his name.
you gotta
that's it.
pay the bills.
Yeah, well, sponsors, you know, they got to be on there.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big one.
They're on your jersey, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like going into this year, obviously you heard about the Yamaha deal that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what did you? Guys
I
think
heard
that?
about the rumblings about that through some other people earlier, like even before heydays.
Yeah.
Like I kind of heard some rumors that somebody was going to try it, and I'm like,
Good
nah,
luck.
that person doesn't know what he's getting into.
Yeah. Well, obviously you'd
I
probably
actually-
be the first one.
I
They
called-
should have called him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I called Mike. It was in the summer, and I'm like, "Did you hear this?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I kind of heard." He heard about as much as I did.
You probably heard it. Yeah.
And I'm like, "Why would anybody do?" Like, it's not good. Like,
But if they were to do it, you would think they would call.
I mean, we
This guy.
we
Yeah,
tried
exactly.
we
You know,
tried
fire
doing
him
it
back.
in 14 when we did it. Like, we did it on the factory level. Like, I had Yamaha support to try to get it to see what we could do.
Right.
that wasn't a factory effort that was being put
No,
together.
that was a guy. Well, from what I was told from him, he was telling me he had Red Bull, Hard Rock Cafe, and somebody else involved. I don't remember the third one, but there
man,
was
if you
they
didn't-
had like a $500,000.
We would work with Cat. Like, Cat's EFI guys would come down too and like run on the dyno with me, and we'd get like a base map.
I gotcha.
But then from there, they would take their computer back with them, and then I would use the power commander off of that base map and do what we needed to do.
Right. All right. Back to what we were talking about, the Yamaha deal.
Oh, but they're going snowcross racing
Yes.
this year.
Yeah.
It would have been a very steep uphill climb for I don't know any of the group that was going to do it besides the two riders that they were going to get,
Yeah.
and
That would have been cool for them.
it would have been a struggle.
You know,
like
even Kenny was like, "Yeah, I'll do this." Like right out
Well,
of
it's
the gate.
one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like
It's a
you're
piece
gonna
of
you
history.
gotta look back at
Yeah.
that and you say, man, I have to.
I applaud him for like even the dude like thinking this is going to be a good idea and to try it, but
Right.
it wouldn't have been a good idea.
It would have been tough, but it would have been a
Yeah.
cool experience for the riders to say that they were part of it.
Yeah.
Well, and I had heard they were just going to use like Viper chassis, and
Right.
I don't know that you would get one 8-minute moto in on that chassis without it busting in half, especially
Yeah.
with a pro caliber rider,
Right.
or like Mandrick or any of them. Anybody that can ride like that,
Right.
that sled wouldn't have
Yeah.
made it.
Yeah, I heard that it was going to be that chassis with a cat skid.
That still, it would have folded that
Yeah.
chassis up. And
Right.
The tunnel alone is half as strong as the snowcross tunnel. It's crazy.
Was this guy from Michigan?
He was from Canada,
Oh, okay.
and he raced snowcross like way back in the early 2000s, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was part of a Polaris team called IOCCR or something like that.
OSF.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Was it Stewie? Well, Stewie used to run. He was like the crew chief for.
No.
When Andre ran the team, the last couple years of ISOC Snowcross, when Yamaha was in it, was Andre Lauren ran the team. But that Stewie, I don't know what Stewie's last name is, but he was a big in motocross too.
No, this guy wasn't.
Well, Stewie was the crew chief back then, so I don't know who this guy would have been.
Yeah, he was just a guy with money. He was an aviator.
Huh.
Yeah, he did a lot of aviation stuff. He has
Oh.
planes. Yeah, so that was like the big thing why he got arrested, is he was buying planes and selling them for more than they were worth,
Oh.
and then he got
That's
in
illegal?
trouble.
Yeah, why is that
So
illegal?
I don't know.
I
That had
think
something.
if you buy a car, you can sell it to him for more than it's worth.
Yeah. That's the buyer's fault.
I don't know. It was,
Sucker.
but it was in Canada. It was something in
Oh,
Canada.
I
It
see.
wasn't in the United
It's not a
States.
free
He-
country.
Well, it might be now that Trump's going to freaking turn it into the
It's
51st.
Northern America.
Yeah. But, yeah, there was some regulation going on with Canada, and they knew that he was going to Florida.
Oh.
Yeah. Or
I see.
was it Florida? No, it was Michigan that they picked him up at. And, yeah.
Oh yeah,
so-
right. That's
Yeah,
where
and
they
he
got
had stuff in the plane and shit like that. Well, it was paperwork on the planes,
Oh.
and he was like he wasn't supposed to have it on him or something like that. And yeah, it was some great. I think Kenny talked about it on the podcast. Yeah.
on your podcast.
No, on
On a different podcast.
on Carbide.
Oh, I didn't know we were saying
Is
his
that-
name.
Oh, I don't care.
I'm just
I don't care.
joking.
Is that guy in?
I'm just
jail?
trying to start some beef between you and.
Oh, not on the track.
You know that I do like to do that once in a while. So.
Well, yeah. Well, I think there should be beef in snowcross. I think there
You
should
do?
be, I think there should be a little bit of controversy.
To an extent. To an
Yeah,
But I think-
I've had beef. It's not what it is.
What kind of beef are you having? Like 15%?
It just doesn't live up to the hype. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
It's not quite.
Oh, like
what-
Tremblay giving the finger to, was it Cam or Narsa, like back in the day?
Well, that would be all right.
That was, yeah.
But like at least like have some sort of rivalry going on, you know, like
Yeah.
Jet Lawrence.
They're-
Hunter doesn't
They're
like
really-
Jason.
Yeah,
It is kind of lacking that right now.
that's what I think.
Yeah, we're all kind of buddies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to stop doing that. Get off my podcast, you.
You know, I don't like getting taken out.
All right, well, no, the whole pro class knows that.
Yeah, but nobody likes getting taken out.
Fair.
I mean, shoot, man. It's like y'all got to finish the season here, you know, and it's
For sure.
And it's yeah, you run into somebody hard enough and ruin their night, you know, it's gonna come back around, you know. And
Now
it's
we're
the
getting
same
into
way.
karma.
It's the same
Come
way.
on.
No, it's just that they're gonna do it to you.
Yeah, that's karma.
Oh,
Yeah.
the karma
What comes
more
around
of a
goes around.
spiritual
Yeah.
thing. But really, it's
All
just
right.
the rider. the if somebody takes me out, I'm gonna think about it, and I'm gonna probably not hesitate to do it to them. I would hate to be on the back end of that, because
Yeah.
then I'm running in a podium position, and somebody does something stupid, and then
So
all of a sudden,
what you're saying is you don't want to try to you don't want to be the one that starts the beef because you're going to get it in the end.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get it back.
yeah, you always get it back,
Yeah.
and it's not like you know.
But what if somebody started beef with you and then you were the one that would give it back?
But then they're just going to get you
then
back
it
again.
just keeps going. Like the beat doesn't end.
It's a
You know, maybe if there was a truce after you got him back, like, hey, listen, now I got you, now we're even.
we're tied.
But that's not how that works, because they don't view it like that. They think,
Well, then the officials would get in. The officials would get into it then,
yeah.
yeah.
and then they would have to break up the beef.
Let's think
you know,
about
make the beef into tacos.
Back in the early 2000s, it was that main like Chris Vincent and Blair
Mhm.
Morgan's beef. Like Chris had more of a beef than Blair did, I think. Cause,
Yeah.
And it usually never worked out in Chris's favor because Blair could like come out of anything unscathed all the
Yeah.
time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how hard you try to take him off the track.
I will say, too, like, the guys in snowcross, I can't think of anybody that I don't like
Mm.
off the track. If I was racing Jason Anderson, I wouldn't like him either, because I don't like I don't really like him off the track.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of
I don't know
weird.
who he is.
So, but like, there's nobody in snowcross. Everybody's such a straight shooter in snowcross. We're all just good dudes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Jason's not a good dude, but I don't agree with him on probably 90% of
So then you probably didn't agree with Justin Barsha when he was taking out people when he was on 250s and 450s when he was coming up, right?
Well, and that was like off the track. I feel like I would like Justin. I would hate that he was taking me out on the track, right? But like off the track, I think he's a pretty straight shooter. I don't like Jason at all. Like I don't
Wow.
think I just don't
You
like
ever
him as
met
a
him?
dude. No, but based on how he portrays himself, you know.
Yeah.
But like everybody out there that I race against, I talk to them and I'm like, man, they are like pretty good dudes. Like I've
You
no
would
reason.
go out to dinner
I have
with
no.
them?
Yeah, I would.
You would ask them out on
I
a
don't
date?
know if I'd ask them. No, I wouldn't. But
That would start some
if we
beef.
saw each other at dinner, like we could hold a conversation and enjoy the conversation for 15
Yeah.
minutes, you know.
Right.
Because they're all good dudes. They really are. And I'm not just trying to I'm not trying to butter anybody up. There's just nobody's really a guy that I, don't like. They're
Yeah.
all good. They're all good dudes. So
Right.
it's hard on the track. It's like I'm not gonna go and ruin this guy's night. If I'm gonna pass him,
You're gonna do it
I
clean.
have the confidence to say, you know what, like I should be able to pass this guy without taking him out.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, if you take somebody out, you're not a good dude to them anymore. They're like, oh, this guy's a jerk. I'm
Right.
gonna take him out.
Did you see the video or the Brandon Nelson and Creighton Dillon at
I heard something about it, but I never saw that.
I heard the
Yeah, they came
controversy.
together.
Yeah.
But like, there's no controversy. Like, I posted a video and I tagged both of them in it, and Dylan wrote me on Instagram. He's like, dude, stop trying to start beef. I'm like, dude, I'm not. I'm just like trying to build some hype,
Right, right.
here. And like, I know that they're friends and whatnot, but it's
Yeah.
like you got to build something to make snowcross
Right.
exciting.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you guys have beef.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, oh, you got on the throttle and you're going after him to
Yeah.
get that position back, you know? But
There's no
It
doubt.
has to be something if we're going to start building these big, long, boring tracks.
Something to talk about.
yeah.
No, I can agree that like you need kind of like it's kind of nice to have storylines outside of the main storyline.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, because how many times can we like watch the same person win?
right.
You know?
Right.
And like how many times can we see like the same old people on the podium? Like we need something exciting. And I think like I'm not ragging on Snowcross at all by any means, but they need to promote a little bit more of like a backstory. You know, like oh, Dylan and Brandon got in together,
Right,
you
right,
know,
right,
like
right.
all right, but what's really going on? You know, like just build something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and you could-
don't ask the same boring questions of the freaking podium
Yeah,
either.
that's boring.
Yo,
I
Jake,
know.
how did you feel out
I
there?
know.
You know what?
I know.
Like,
I know.
it's so...
I do wish that there was a little bit more, you know.
But
yeah,
how much of
diversity
that?
there.
How much does this fall on the guy being interviewed too? Like maybe expand.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, right.
you know, like
Yeah,
even though
you
they
could
ask
be-
you,
you could be more open
say
too.
they ask you the same question over and over again, week in and week out, you could just expand on it.
You could just
Yeah.
start talking about whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
like a weave between it, like
Yeah,
you're
weave, yeah. Oh, you're right,
I
right.
think it was that chicken salad sandwich I had this morning. Put me over the edge.
Yeah, more. They should do the interviews more too. Like they don't. I mean, I don't know. They ain't walking in here asking me.
Right.
Well, how do you feel that Adam Peterson's only 1 point in front of you?
Right.
If they did that, I'd say, yeah,
They
I want
used
to beat
do
him.
that. Yeah,
I'd say, yeah, man. Like I'm gonna beat the guy. You know.
Right.
I mean, I like the guy, but no, my plan is to beat him. But they don't ask those questions.
right. They
You know?
need to.
Yeah.
Like Haley did a really good job
Right.
when she was here.
Mhm.
You know. Like I try to do my best to freaking get interviews and shit, but I'm only one person.
You're only
Yeah.
one guy, man.
And I already got so much
You
responsibility.
got a lot of responsibility. I just feel like they don't do enough of those one-off interviews to really dig deep into it and get
Right.
the riders' perspectives.
Maybe Greenwood needs to hang up the helmet and just go start doing that stuff.
He'd probably kill it too. I could see him starting some beef.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
okay, perfect example. Was anybody watching the final round of the Triple Crown on Friday night in Canterbury? I was in second the whole race. No, I mean anybody up at the podium.
Oh, yeah.
I was in second the whole race, could have won the thing, got passed, got third, and whatever each one of us placed in that race is what we were going to finish. on the podium.
For right.
So I got passed, and nobody really asked me like, well, Jake, are you upset? Or, man, you got passed or whatever. Like, there was, like, almost, like, need to really dive into those right after. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Or if somebody gets taken out, like, interview them when they get off the track.
Right. Or like
You
what they're
know?
doing in Supercross now, they're interviewing the fourth place rider and getting their take on not getting on the podium. Like that's cool. You know, like
Well, and it
even-
gives that guy some TV time too.
Right, and even Deegan was like, "Yeah, second sucks. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you guys had to see me ride like that."
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Go and interview somebody that did great the first night and sucked the second night. Like, we were
Yeah.
third the first night, we got 10th the second night. Go and interview me after the final race.
Right.
You know, I mean, you'd get
Even
some-
though you might be fuming.
Oh,
but
I'd
still.
be fuming.
Yeah, but
But
that's
if
a good interview.
They're like, hey, we need this interview because it's good for the sport. I'd be
Yeah.
like, all right. So then you'd be able to tell I was angry.
Right.
And then
Very
everybody
bad
would know.
attitude.
Yeah. But if you want, organic content and not
Yeah.
just me up there thanking God, being happy on the podium every time, like, then come when I get 8th.
Right.
Yeah.
Then you get mad, Jake, too.
Or like Brian was saying, like you could be like, yeah, I'm pissed that I got second here. You know, I
Yeah.
wanted to beat this guy. I was right on his tail, but
Yeah, yeah.
second's not good enough for me.
Right.
You know.
Right. Or I don't know. It's just there could be, and I know like everybody's got to get paid, and
For sure.
and everybody's got to care. Not saying not everybody cares, but everybody's got to get paid too for their
Yeah.
services. So like,
Maybe you should do this.
You know.
Maybe you should do this weekend.
I could be like the.
And
the
maybe
beef-
everybody
the beef
will.
builder?
Yeah, like
The
the
butcher.
the trendsetter.
Well, it's just common sense. Like if you're trying to make it better, then you got to do that stuff. Like you're the one that started talking about it.
Yeah, right.
These interviews are big because the
Right.
fans at home like to see that.
Dude,
you know?
Kevin's interview got 30,000 views when I did him at Canterbury. I didn't do
The
Kevin
one
at
where
Canterbury,
when
but
he was outside talking about the track.
yeah.
I didn't see that. Nathan?
Yeah.
Really?
How long was that video? It wasn't very long either.
It was like 45 seconds.
Was it?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. 30,000 views.
Yeah.
And then I did
Nice.
one with Lexi, Ryan Frank's daughter. 12,000 views.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you're the king of what we're talking about. Interviewing people, asking them questions that people want to hear about.
Right.
But the main media of the sport needs to latch on to that thought process.
Well, the problem here, this is my problem with snowcross, not snowcross, media people, is they do not focus on proper media. Like, you see me, I do everything I do everything for social media to build the sport, but these people, like other people that are working for these teams, aren't doing what I'm doing. They're just going out and trying to get views for the team and those riders,
Right,
and they're not doing like questions like we did, or trying to do this. Like Carl, when I saw him earlier, he was like, dude, I want to be on your podcast. All right, let's set it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, I don't want to bring up his name, but I'm going to have to anyways. I feel like I'm the Gary Walton without the asshole part. Like, he had a good thing in snowcross.
He did.
Yeah.
But like, I'm putting it into
and
a smarter
like
direction.
his podium thing was cool. The couple years that he did it, like you wouldn't even get off the sled, and he was already like asking you questions
Yeah.
And you were
before
doing that
you would
last
even
year.
get to the
Yeah.
podium.
You did that like second I stepped off the podium last year. You were there, wanted to do an interview.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's cool. Like, that's the perfect time to do that. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure.
And people, I think people really like that stuff.
For sure.
Well,
Yeah.
cripe's sakes, you did the podium interview at Canterbury, and the fireworks went off the whole. No, you didn't
Yeah.
hear a thing.
Right.
I mean, it probably was a technical
I think
difficulty
they
on the
emptied
fireworks thing,
Saturday's
but-
fireworks on Friday.
Yeah, but like the whole podium thing, all first through third, didn't hear any of them.
Right. I know, it was dumb.
Yeah.
It was dumb.
I couldn't hear myself, honestly.
Yeah, and obviously that probably wasn't planned to be that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We need more of that.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that would grow the sport. I think sponsors would get more involved, aside from like what we were talking about earlier with sled, chassis changes, but just like a media in itself would change snowcross. Like, snowcross had their own media team doing documentaries and shit like that back in, when Hibbert went in and
Full
shit.
videos.
Yeah.
The old ESPN guy, that Jerry Bernardo, like he would come to people's trailers and like we would do skits. He's like, "Hey, start your four-wheeler up. You're gonna pull me behind our four-wheeler going through the pits
Right.
at Valcourt."
Right.
And like his guy would video him.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, and that's how he would do his intro, like for, "Hey, we're here at ESPN." Blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And that's how he started out. Like,
Yeah.
you're missing that color guy.
Right. Yeah. I'm not the guy, but there's a guy out there to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe Schmitzy needs to call up Bernardo.
Yeah, or maybe the guy
They were
from Red
buddies.
Bull that does all the like the documentaries and shit.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Supercross.
Yeah.
That dude's
Inside
got the
Supercross or whatever.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're coming out with a new one.
Are they?
Yeah, I just posted
That'd
on
be
my
fun to
story
watch.
this morning.
That'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it's. I don't remember. It's something 1. I think I can't remember.
Okay.
Chapter 1. I don't know.
I'm gonna watch
It's
that.
sick, dude. It's
Yeah.
sick. It's like all about the sport.
See, that's what we need.
I tried.
You know.
When we did the documentary when you were on All Finish, I tried. I tried to do it last year. I couldn't execute.
The thing about the hours too, man.
It's not like the dollars aren't there.
And nobody's paying you to do it.
Yeah, I
So
was doing
it's-
like obviously CNA, Stud Boy were helping.
Yep.
But
like the time that you have into the editing in there, you
Yeah.
know, I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
To not be a hired gun, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just to be a solo guy.
Well, they used to do that when like Tremblay and all them guys were.
Yeah, even Malinowski.
Yeah.
I remember them.
Yeah.
Like in the 2012, 13, 14.
when they went to
area.
the Silver Dome.
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
that
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, they did their own thing, and Monster was involved
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. That was sick.
Yeah, and the riders' social medias being more active would help too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Riders doing vlogs or blogs, whatever you call them,
Vlogs.
and doing videos and stuff, and
Right.
that would help too, man.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy, and unfortunately, I don't think that the snowcross guys are that guy.
No, they're just out to ride and have fun.
me too. That's what when I go to the track, I just want to ride. I don't want my wife taking a video of me and then like, hey, go and like be stupid over here and like do a flip off this. Like, no, I just want to go, ride my sled,
But
maybe throw a whip.
On the flip side, like that's a good marketing
100%
tool for you though.
100%.
Yeah.
It's more just like
You don't want to put the energy in.
I don't know.
But it might be something where, like, if your team had a person prodding you to do that stuff, like, then you would probably do it. Like, just go out and think of stuff to do on your own.
Yeah.
It's harder to do, too.
Like,
Yeah.
Tom was doing a good job when he was all
Tom was doing good.
all
Yep.
finished with you guys.
But that's that's a dude that knows how to do it. That's in there. That's like there.
Yeah.
For me,
He knows how to put it all together.
yeah,
Right.
and the editing, like what?
But you don't need to do all that stuff. You just need to take a picture or a video, like, raw.
And
Bam. Okay, that's it. I'm going to post it. It's not that hard. Like, people think, like, me
It
and my
doesn't have to
position-
be polished.
No, it doesn't have to,
Yeah.
like, Dude, I had a video that went up, like, 750,000 views. And it was just a dude doing a whole shot. That's all you need. People want to see raw. They don't want to see all the polished stuff. They don't want to see any of that stuff. They just want to see raw. Like, even if you were just to do, like, a simple, hey, what's up? It's Jacob Yurk. We're here at Deadwood. Boom. That's it. Done. Keep it simple.
My phone's dead, so.
You and your phone have beef, man.
No, we could honestly. We could. I don't know.
Like you were doing the weekend update thing.
Well, I still do that.
Oh,
I was a week
news
late
to
this
me.
week.
I didn't even know.
He just slow at it.
I was a week late.
Slow.
There was a lot to process after
Are you
Canterbury.
players?
Yeah. we were 8-9 days behind this week, but we had a lot going on.
Didn't you get sick? Or
No,
you
it
were
was
sick
before
going into
Canterbury.
Canterbury.
Yeah, it was before Canterbury. Yeah, but anywho, we have been doing that, and I hear people like it.
Yeah.
That's
I do.
about as crazy as I can get, though. I could try to post a thing or two, but like when you send me a photo and then I just like post it and I say "Great weekend,"
Yeah.
that's what I like.
I'm sorry, but I need a little bit more than that from you, Jake. This relationship is not going to work if you give me the bare minimum, man.
I know I gotta try harder.
Yeah.
But everybody's got to try harder. Like you don't see anybody really. Creighton's got like a YouTube channel, right? But like,
No. Theme does.
oh, that's Theme.
Yeah,
Oh,
Theme.
okay. Yeah.
Fiends have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I created it.
Did you?
Oh.
When I was
What's-
with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
Like I would love to have a YouTube channel, but the work that goes into it does not interest
You
me.
need a full-time guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you got to pay that guy. And when you're not getting paid, paying a guy becomes harder.
Dang, dude.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be sweet though. Like that would be awesome. Like somebody just with me that's like, dude, let's just like get a video of this.
Right,
Like,
right,
go
right.
jump that thing.
That was me.
I
at
would
one
do it.
point. Yeah.
I don't want to like, hey, my phone camera's got a crack in it, but like, can you take that? And
That's a cool effect, though, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
man. I don't know. We'll see. It might
It's
get.
easy, dude.
You did good on the promo for the sled giveaway.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a good video. Whoever shot that was really, really good.
That was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I took a couple takes, but
Yeah. Brian was the one that threw the helmet.
yeah,
Oh, really?
that was my job.
No,
You
no
aced it.
credit, nothing.
I did it on the first take too.
Yep. Well, you did it like 50 times.
Yeah.
But it did work out.
I
the
didn't have
first
to
time.
redo my part of it.
I see.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Yes.
This might be a good time to promote the raffle ticket.
You
If
go
anybody
right
wants to
ahead.
buy a sled, or
Go
no,
ahead.
buy a $50 raffle ticket and win a.
Well, I'll
2025.
Put the QR code on.
Yeah,
on the
there you
screen.
go.
Yeah,
There you go.
you'll have to send me the QR code and yeah, go ahead.
2025 ZR 600 Catalyst, black, midnight edition. It's a pretty sweet sled. It's right outside.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I see. I've got my eyeballs on
My
it
wife's
before.
going to be selling some tickets this weekend. So,
We're gonna try to bring it to. We brought it to Canterbury. We're bringing it to Deadwood here, and
probably New York.
yeah, probably New York because that's another good one. And I think if we talk sweet to Carl and them guys, they'll let us put it in the casino, like where they sign up and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, in New York?
You know,
In New
how-
York.
Yeah.
all that stuff in
Yeah,
there.
where the autograph signing is?
Yeah.
It'd probably be pretty good in there. So,
That'd be pretty sweet.
trying to sell tickets, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that means if we bring it to New York, we got to bring it to Valcourt.
Yeah.
because the trailer probably isn't coming back
To
to Minnesota from.
Oh.
Like, we'll leave it out in New York.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
There might be a way around it. I don't know.
Might be.
Back in my pickup or something.
Yeah.
You're driving.
Yeah, probably.
You're gonna drive to New York.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be in Michigan, in between Valcourt and New York, so I'll just drive. It's only 6 hours, 5.5 hours, from my house in Michigan to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'll probably drive there. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's nice. Lucky
That's the
you.
close race for us. When I was a kid, that was the easy one.
Yeah, that was an easy one when I lived in New York.
Yeah.
It's 6 hours for me.
It was 6 for you,
Uh-huh.
living in New York.
Yeah.
Oh wow, New York's a big state.
Yeah. Well, that's down from where I was.
Oh really?
I think.
Were you like by Buffalo?
You know, I was up by Albany.
Mm.
So yeah, I had to go down.
It was 6 hours to that race.
Yeah.
Man, I'm 6 hours from Michigan. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
17 for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing Canada all by myself.
What do you mean?
Driving to Canada.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oof.
22 hours.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
It was 24.
We should hire somebody in Canada to take footage.
No.
We split it up.
I'm trying to get some dough out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Them guys like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the
Are
promoter.
you gonna do like some of the oval stuff too, then?
I do a little bit. Yeah. Like Stevenson.
Blaine.
Yeah, Blaine Stevenson. Yeah. I did some stuff for him last year.
Yeah. That's
He's a
pretty
good dude.
cool. Yeah, he'll be up there.
Yeah.
That's a fun race.
It's like a main stop for the oval series, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a pretty big
Yeah.
venue.
Yeah, it's a
for
big
them.
one.
Yeah. Yeah,
It was good last
Those
year.
guys are crazy too. Like,
Yeah, they are.
I think they had one big crash last year.
in Valcourt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it set the program back a little while.
Yeah.
On Friday night, was it?
Right after the start.
I think so.
Turn 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. If it could just be separate, so that wouldn't clash with the snowcross schedule. You know what I mean?
You want to hear
With
something crazy?
the time?
Yeah.
would make a big difference.
You want to hear something crazy that I heard?
What?
They're trying to get rid of the oval, so then snowcross is the big show.
Really?
Where are they going to put the oval
In
guys?
2026, I think they're going to try to get rid
Why
of
wouldn't
it.
they just have it on a different date?
Yeah. Well, they probably would. It just probably wouldn't be the same date.
No, they're going to get rid of the track.
Huh?
The oval
Yeah,
track?
the oval track. They don't want oval at all. They want snowcross to be the main show.
But that's
I'm like,
weird.
that is your biggest crowd,
Dude.
at that event.
I'm telling you, when
Yeah.
those guys on the quads are out there,
Yeah.
and then the bikes, and like that's really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like, and I don't know if it was maybe because they got behind, but when we started racing there last year, 50% or 60% of the crowd was gone.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're like,
Yeah.
we're just racing in front of ourselves.
Yeah, and our team.
But it's like maybe
Yeah.
after being there from 7:30 in the morning. I mean,
Yeah, who
I don't
wants
think
to be over
we
there?
didn't get back to the hotel that night, and we didn't work in the trailer afterwards, and it was midnight.
It was because of that little hiccup there that we had to take a
So I
break.
think the
and then-
final was at like 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they did the fireworks before the pro women's when they were on the track. It was so weird.
Yeah.
It was such a weird deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think the crowd left because they didn't want to watch snowcross. I think they left
Just got
because they'd
late.
been there for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It got late, man.
And it's a 3-day event.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And nobody showed up for Sunday, I don't think.
Did we race Sunday?
But no, we were. Was
No,
it a
Saturday.
Was it a Saturday Sunday race or a Friday Saturday race?
No, Friday was qualifying.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday, Sunday were 2 races.
That's right. Sunday was a day race.
Yeah, it was a
We
day
didn't
race.
qualify on Friday.
We did it was like a practice.
Practice qualifying.
Oh, we had a
Yeah,
prac-
when they had the drop down start, but then
Yeah.
they moved it.
We
Yeah.
just got to practice. It wasn't
Right.
qualifying.
No, it was just practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which that was kind of cool. We need a practice and a
Dude,
qualifying.
like
day.
they used to?
My goodness.
Yeah.
That'd be a little easier.
Well,
Yeah.
you can't change anything. You don't have time. I mean, really. You get once that thing starts and that green flag is going, it's a thrash.
Well, didn't last year they had a practice and a qualifying?
We did a few of them,
Mhm.
and then they just went to one practice, and that was the qualifier.
That's dumb.
Just put us out there in like a. I mean, I know it's hard, really hard, but
They should
us
separate. They
6
should have
minutes.
a group, though. I think they should have a group.
Like, what do you mean?
Split the pro class in half, and then have what is there 12 dudes?
I do like that they
6 and 6.
changed.
yeah,
like you go out there and the clock doesn't start until like a minute or 2 minutes afterwards. That's nice.
I hate that.
So,
Well, back when we were racing to the start line.
I don't have to run people's skis over in the pits anymore to get his sled on the line, so he can be the first one out there.
Made for good stories, though.
Yeah.
Did make for good stories, and no beef was started.
No.
No beef. We
I
got out
guess
of there.
nobody's
We got out of
getting
that.
tacos.
We got out of that beefless. Yeah.
All I did was just watch Jetty's guys, and as soon as they started making moves that they were going to go to the start line, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, and then everybody was up there 45 minutes early, though.
Yeah. Then, like literally
man.
by New York, you were sitting and staging 45 minutes before that we would even go out and practice, just to get up there to be first on the line to leave.
Oh my
So you had clear
God.
sailing.
And you'd go out, and you'd watch the track in the morning, and you'd go out and hit everything first lap. Didn't matter what it was. Because you were like, it was a
You
race.
were on the clock
like you,
instantly.
The second you hit that, like, because the track was smooth.
Right.
So
right.
like a lot of times, the fastest times would come early, really
in the
early.
practice.
Yep. And so it was like, we're going right now. It was fun though.
That had to be
Come on, was it?
scary.
I don't
At
know.
times, no?
Valcourt was a little scary because that finish line was about 175 feet.
Dude,
Yeah.
how hard was
But
it to clear that?
It was
'Cause a lot of
hard. It
people
was
were coming-
wide open.
Yeah, a lot of people were coming up short.
Yeah, it was wide open. Somebody bruised their heels on that jump. I can't believe we didn't. But like, yeah, it was a hawk.
Well, and Cody it wasn't his leg was already hurting.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah,
would have sucked
yeah.
if you had a broken ankle doing that. And
Uh-oh.
no, that was a
And
gigantic
it wasn't
jump.
even like it wasn't even smooth to land. It was like jarring.
Yeah,
And then they moved it back the next day.
yeah,
They
they
cut it
did.
back.
They really just needed a little bit bigger of a run. I mean, I like big jumps. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, because when you go out there, you know, you got a good belt on. Like, you're not afraid to break a belt usually, and so
Knock on
like,
wood.
yeah, knock on wood. But like, big jumps are a good time. I mean, I think the fans like them.
For sure.
But yeah, like, give us a little run, because you know, if there's no run, then if you're coming up short, it's not fun.
Yeah, what was it, like 7 whoops before the
It was
tailor?
4.
Was it 4?
4 deep whoops. So you would
Well, the
like,
last one was the deepest.
it was
one.
really
Oh.
deep, yeah, and you could kind of double it, but then when it would get rough, then you wouldn't be able to make it, and you'd have to skip it, and then your momentum would be gone, and then
Yeah.
you'd just hold her taped. I remember
You can't seat bounce it?
seat bouncing is not really.
Well, and the bad thing was then you'd jump onto the face of the big.
Yeah, into
The one you had to jump 170 feet.
Yeah.
You know, they took all your momentum.
We stopped jumping it, like at one point. We were
Yeah,
like
I
jumping
wouldn't-
halfway.
I wouldn't even have
in the top 4, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, but seat bouncing doesn't really work. Like, if
In
you
snowcross?
if you move your feet back, it works better than seat bouncing.
Well, you're putting all your weight there.
But your feet do a lot more than your butt. If your feet
I
are,
always wondered that.
if your feet are way up there and your butt's back bouncing on the seat,
yeah.
it's not doing as much as if your feet are back
Well,
waiting
yeah,
in suspension.
that's just physics.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's more or less a waste of energy, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just move your feet back like 6 inches. I tell guys that all the time. I'm like, dude, you know, because I used to be that guy. I would seat bounce everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And then one time I was like, I'm going to move my feet back and see what happens. And I moved my feet back, and I was like, wow, I got over that way easier than seat bouncing. Yeah. And I tell my guys that all the time, too. It's like, don't waste your time. You're just wasting your energy. You're pulling on the sled with your arms too much.
Right,
You know? So,
Huh.
yeah, it's a hoax. Don't
It's a
buy
hoax.
it. Don't buy it.
Even on bikes?
No, bikes I think works because you can't move your feet. So your feet are fixed. So if you're going to seat bounce on a bike, you're actually weighting that rear shock more.
Yeah.
You're not weighting the rear
Well,
shock. on a
yeah,
semi.
I think a sled, there's way more suspension that you got to move.
Maybe you need rear pegs in your swing arm.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
On a bike, you can do
That
more.
would, like, spring him up so fast.
You should try it.
Oh my gosh.
Would be insane.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're really not doing anything. I mean, I've tried. Maybe there's like a setup out there where it would do something, but most of the, like that
That little
at our-
jump that was at Canterbury, jumping on the table.
I didn't seat bounce that.
Huh, maybe you should have.
No.
You should have put your feet on the seat and tried to.
That would do more. I mean, maybe. You know.
Yeah.
No. We could like start a thing where you ask guys if they think it works, and they see and they'll probably say yes, but you could see who thinks it works and who thinks it doesn't. Maybe I'm not the only one that thinks that.
I honestly don't think it works.
I am right. Yeah, I am right.
It's just like you're moving your body to think that you're gonna make the jump when you're really not, because it's like you're on snow and it's already soft, and the suspension is not gonna compress
Your
that much.
Your suspension's way back there.
Exactly.
So you're
but
not
I
gonna
see you seat bound some stuff.
very rarely. I mean,
I
it
saw
might
you do
be
it at Canterbury.
it might be out of like. The only time I would really do it is if it's like right out of a corner, maybe.
Yeah.
And or if it's just maybe habitual.
You did it on the doubles going into the finish line at Canterbury, and you were like trying to get over that triple. I have photos of you doing it.
Yeah, well, I will say the whoops before the finish.
Yeah, like that triple, and then it was like a single.
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
face.
But I will say with full confidence that if I would have just moved my feet back instead of doing that, I probably would have got over stuff easier.
Yeah.
Sometimes I still do it like on accident, habitually. It just sometimes it
It's a
feels
riding
like
habit.
the best thing to do.
Yeah.
But it's really not.
Well, and you also ride bikes in the summertime.
Yeah, so it comes from bikes.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from.
Right.
Yeah, because it does work on a bike.
For sure.
So.
You're not moving. What'd you say? 450 pounds.
Yeah, no, and your shock is a lot. I mean, it's right underneath your butt. So
Yeah.
it's,
More active.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of which, asking people about like seat bouncing, I have a weird concept that I want to ask like riders is like different boots. I want to go up to riders and be like, yo, what kind of boots you wearing?
Yeah.
You know, like, obviously all the FXR guys are going to have to wear FXR, but like, you know, like what's the difference of having like a snowboard boot compared to like an FXR boot or like Alpine Stars?
Are you asking me?
I'm just saying, like that.
I think
that
it'd be
would
great.
Interesting.
Oh,
You know,
everybody
I think interesting concept to ask because, like, yeah, I guess, like, what would your answer be?
Moto boots, 100%.
Okay, of course, but why?
They're slim, they're sleek.
Yeah,
I still have way more ankle support. 1,000 times the ankle support.
Than
I have
a
weak
snowboard
ankles.
boot?
I think so.
Okay.
Well, I used to wear snowmobile boots, like the climb ones.
Yeah.
And they didn't have any support. Now, maybe the snowboard boot does, but the snowboard boot's
stiff as
big.
shit.
And they're really big, though. And I don't really...
Can't get your feet in the.
I don't
step
know.
in the running boards.
I think my ankle would still roll on them. And they're super wide, dude. It's like Dumbo, you know, or like a clown shoes. I mean,
Yeah, the Alpines have more of a toe. They're fitted to like an actual boot.
they're like the size of a tennis shoe.
Yeah.
The bottom of them. You know,
Right.
a moto boot is sleek, and so first of all, you've got room in the running board. Like if you like you said, you put those snowboard boots on, dude. There's no room in the running board anymore.
Right.
So now you're bulky, and I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to what I'm wearing. Like I want to wear as little as possible. Right. I would.
That's cute.
Well, not in that sense, but
I
but like,
want to know what you would say.
but I would be most comfortable with like a t-shirt and pants on. You know what I mean? Like because you can move
Thanks for
and
the visual.
free. Thank you. We'll do a photo shoot.
All right.
But like, so if the smaller the boot, the better. You know, the less. You know, I don't want it. The
Wait,
neck
this
brace.
photo shoot is Brian gonna be throwing the clothes at you?
Maybe.
I'll be in there with the wrenches.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so continue.
No, it just they're moto boots. You know, I rolled my ankles a lot as a kid, so my ankles are weak. You know, I strengthen them, but like those ligaments they're done.
Right.
You know, if I roll my ankle all the
They're
time.
retired in the attic.
Yeah, when I'm working, like my ankle rolls all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I need moto boots because of their stability, but also they're so much smaller, and so you feel a little bit lighter and
Nimble.
You know, yeah, not so bulky. I don't
Right.
know. I'm totally against the snowboard boots, and I actually don't think they look good. I think they look dumb.
Oh, thanks.
No
You call
offense.
my Vans,
No
too?
offense
Yeah, you're a
to
jerk.
anybody who doesn't
I don't
like
wanna do
them.
a photo shoot with you
No,
now.
no, the guy with the camera, totally different. But when you're in the snowcross
Now
gear,
you're just trying to make up.
I am.
Aw.
But in the snowcross gear, I don't think it's a good look.
No?
Mm-mm.
Can you imagine doing what you do all day long and wearing them moto boots around?
I was thinking about wearing my
Yeah.
Garnets, but I don't think I'd be able
It
to.
wouldn't be a good idea.
Maybe if it was like a cross type of boot, like
Right.
whatever. but
like
that
a,
had
like
some
a
support.
snowmobile boot, like a climb snowmobile boot
Right.
would work, you know.
Mhm.
But no, I've worn snowboard boots before, and I think they're really good if you're snowboarding, you know. But if you're not, snowboarding,
Kind of like if you're gonna go skiing,
Yeah.
wear ski boots.
Yeah, I was
or,
just
hey,
gonna say.
maybe we should start seeing. Hey, maybe guys want to wear ski boots out here. Maybe
Oh
it's
my
better.
God.
They're wearing snowboard boots.
All right, what about bicycle clip shoes then?
Just clip them into the running
Yeah,
board.
exactly.
Well, the Ski-Doo guys you could do that with because they don't move their feet.
Well, they got them big stirrups in there.
Yeah, their feet never come out of those things. So you could just
I've,
harness them in there.
have you ever rode a skidoo? Why do they run on stirrup thing?
Well, they're
what do you, in the front?
They like move the whole toe thing
I don't think it's wide enough.
up in the.
Oh, the stirrup?
I don't
get
think
up
it's
in
wide.
there?
I don't think the original one is wide
So they
enough.
just put a stop
Yeah.
farther back.
well, I believe that they put that stop because that's where they want your feet.
Oh,
So
Yeah,
if
some
you were
people have
to
it like way back.
yeah, they do move them.
Mm-hmm.
If you took your stops out and let your feet go all the way forward, you wouldn't even be over the center shock. In my opinion,
Yeah.
that's what it looks like. So they're like they've strategically put it where they would like you to, like the furthest forward you should go.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But
like Polaris and Arctic Cat, obviously you don't have to do that. All you
No.
got to do is like do a foot brace on the top.
we don't even do that.
No, I know you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
But
think
didn't Benham have a side skirt?
no, and Dan never did.
No?
Whitwer.
Whitwer, yeah.
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then some guys like when Hegman rode for All Finish, he put the Skidoo stirrup on there.
Wow, that had to be weird.
Well,
we
yeah.
tried, we tried to talk them out of it.
Yeah, it just doesn't work very good because you can't really keep your feet locked in on a cat. It doesn't work. You
Right.
gotta move them.
Well, and also your the brake is so much more in the stirrup or in the running board than like a skidoo. Like obviously you don't hit it on a
Skidoo's
skidoo.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah, but like with using that stirrup mount,
It's
it
in-
brings your foot way away from the brake. Where a Polaris or an Arctic Cat, your foot's like right there.
It is right there, but there's a guard too.
Yeah, for
you
sure,
know?
for
So
sure.
it kind of it works. I mean, but the cat too, like you put your feet far. That the geometry is different, so your feet are up far like that. The sled still acts okay, you know. But I
Right.
think on a skidoo, if you were to put your feet way up there next to the brake rotor,
don't
I don't think the sled would react very well.
No, I don't think
It
so
would
either.
get really twitchy in the back.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
but going back to the boot thing, I mean, I don't know. People can wear what they want, I guess. But if you're a moto guy and you've never tried, I wear a off-road moto boot because it's got more traction on the bottom.
Uh-huh.
It's the Fox Enduro ones.
Yeah.
If you're a moto guy and you like moto boots, like I would to try to wear them when you're riding snowcross, dude. Like,
What do you think,
it's
Brian?
So much better.
I know they don't smell very good on Monday.
Yeah, they
I think I do agree with you. I think there is a lot more cushion because obviously a moto boot has to play into a peg, and a snowboard boot does has the same thing. Like they're cushiony and stuff, and I've heard that the snowboard boot has more cushion on the inside than a moto boot does, so you're not getting a whole lot of impact on your foot.
Okay.
But you do have a lot of grip on the bottom of a snowboard boot too.
You do.
Yes.
Well, just and
because it's not just flat; you have ridges
plus
like a
it's
shoe.
twice the size of like your footprint.
Yeah.
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 But I think the moto boots would, or the snowcross boots, snowboard boots would be clumsy.
That's what they look like.
Yeah, like it fills the running board too much. I would think.
Yeah.
If
Well,
I
there's
had
only
a,
so many people that run them.
if I had a rider that was running them, I would try to convince him not to run them. To
Snowboard boots?
Get a narrower boot.
Makes sense.
You lose feel, and I mean, obviously that's controversial, right? But in my opinion, you lose feel and you just lose that comfort. I think,
Right.
you know,
For sure.
yeah, want to be nimble.
Well, you, Dan, and Elias run moto boots. Oh, Hagman does too.
Hagman does.
Yeah.
Somebody else runs them.
Hagman started running them because from All Finished. He didn't run them before All Finished, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Did he?
Yeah. You know, Anson used to,
Yeah.
but now I don't think he can
Yeah,
anymore.
Climb. Yeah, no, like anybody that's sponsored by Climb or FXR, they have to run those boots. And I'm just like,
I'd be slapping a climb sticker on the side of my Fox
oh,
boots.
dude, did you see all the stuff that FXR, they're getting in trouble because they're like Adam Peterson, a couple other people were riding snowboard boots and they put FXR on the vans.
Okay, yeah.
And FXR got in trouble.
Really?
Yeah, they were like, yeah, take the van swoosh and put FXR. Oh, they got big trouble.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then they came out with their own line of real good racing boots.
That's why that happened. Because I
Yes.
know they do a different boot now that's a lot
Yes.
better.
Yeah. It's similar to a Van boot.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. I bet. I mean,
But I'm like, it goes hand in hand. Like, obviously the rider needs to feel comfortable. You know, Moline don't ride no FXR boot. Elias don't do it. You know, there's a lot.
You
lot
got to
of
draw a
top
line
dogs.
sometimes. It's like, hey, listen, this is how I'm comfortable.
No,
I would
don't.
I would have to tell them straight up, like I would probably break my ankle
Yeah.
if I didn't wear a moto boot at this point, because I don't think there's the support there.
I wonder if you get kind of in the sticky situation, like if teams tell you have to wear this helmet, well, that puts the team at that liability. Like
Right.
if you're as a rider being told you have to wear this helmet.
Yeah.
Flipson, I noticed that Flipson, they don't race 6D anymore, but they have fly helmets with FXR on it now.
Really?
Uh-huh. Yeah, look at the nose.
So they're buying helmets then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they buy outside.
it must be.
Maybe they got cut budget or budget cuts. I don't know. But like, there's weird things happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think you got to have a little bit of freedom there, because it's your health.
When we were like
you know?
at Yamaha, every rider, I mean, they
Had their own deal.
Yeah, they would not.
their own gear deal.
No, the gear deal was FXR, but
They were wearing
Yamaha
fly.
would not, like, Yuji wore a showy helmet.
Hmm.
Nathan wore a fly helmet or whatever, Troy Lee or whatever. Like, they wouldn't tell you what kind of, and it was for that reason. Like, we're not gonna, if we tell you have to wear this, that's on us if you get a head injury now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. I
I'm
love
sure.
the fly goggles.
I think I like the West Coast guys. They run Scott. A couple other riders wear Scott.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just a preference.
Yeah.
Again, back to the boot, back to the helmet thing. You know, I think these companies need to be a little bit more lenient. Like, I think FXR needs to go back to, like, and no, not ragging on FXR, but I think if you're at like a high caliber like yourself, and they were like, hey, you got to wear a 6D. Well, I don't want to wear a 6D. Okay, well, this is going to be in your clause, okay? This is going to be in your contract that you have to wear our gear, but you can have, you know, your own helmet, your own boots, whatever, because that's what you're comfortable with. We don't want to take that away. Or having it so then the lower kids that are sponsored by FXR have to wear all the gear. You know, I get it that they want to promote like the boot, the helmet, the gear, all the shebang. But I think at a certain point, I think a rider, almost like Supercross and Moto, where pro 450 guys, they are not restricted by the team and their gear. They have a separate gear deal from the 250s.
Right.
You know, they're not restricted by that, and I think that needs to be in snowcross.
Yeah, I think that could.
And I think more gear needs to be involved in snowcross, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would love that.
Like HMK only makes
good.
boots, but like, you know, Castle X or some other companies, you know, like Toby, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's a small sport, though, you know, and I think a lot of it comes down to where the viewership's at. I mean, so much of them are so focused on the mountain stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know Fly and FXR are really the big two, and third, is there the Climb, the Climb. Fourth brand would probably be beneficial, but then it's like, does each brand get enough exposure in that scenario, or is it better that there's three, and then everybody's kind of getting the amount of exposure that they're getting?
Yeah, but then
You know?
that comes down to dollars, and I think you can attest to this too, is like, then you're really making the amount of sponsorship dollars really thin, you know, across everybody. Like, how many teams are sponsored by
it's true.
Skidoo? You know, like,
Yep.
it is just very
The-
thin.
The more people, the more businesses you can get into putting in money to support people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can't go wrong, I guess.
Yeah, if you look at SkullQuest, all the sponsors, I was told by the team manager, all the little sponsors on the bottom of the trailer are the ones that pay the bills. Are the ones that are forking over the I could be wrong, but I think that's what I was told. And all like FXR, it's all free.
Yeah,
free
free
gear,
stuff,
you know,
yeah.
free stuff.
Yep.
But I think there needs to be more involvement for sure.
I mean, it can't hurt.
No, absolutely
No.
not. It'd be better for you. Like,
Yeah,
With
gear
all-
deals that pay money. That
yeah.
would be sweet.
Remember when Fly? This is probably your era when Fly was. They had a contingency program where you ran a number plate, and then you got paid
Really?
for having just a number plate. Yeah, if you got on the podium, you got paid.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember what the dollar amount was, but I was
I
told.
think Speedworks is doing something. Don't they have like a rider support program?
Yeah, they're doing something with the
It's like a
transition
Speedworks
class.
rider.
Oh yeah.
I think they do. Like you can sign up and like be a sponsored rider, but like I think they might have a contingency. You'd have to ask Jeremy or Steve.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeremy probably knows more about that
Yeah.
part of it.
I'm pretty sure guys have gotten paid to wear gear too, as far as like a salary from a gear company in the
Yeah.
sport. But I don't know if it's still going on or not. It's got to be less than it's probably ever been if anybody's getting paid.
Right.
You know, aside from contingency. You know.
Right.
Because I think everybody's probably giving out contingency. But
Mhm.
as far as like, hey, we want you to wear a gear, so we'll pay you. You know, I
Like,
think
what's
it's
your gear deal? Is it just free gear from Fly?
It's-
gear and contingency?
Pretty much a
Yeah.
team.
They hook the team
It's
up.
a team sponsorship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
But if you get on the podium, they fork over a little bit.
Yep.
Oh, that's good.
yeah, it is nice. Yep. So, yeah,
Hmm.
it's good.
Yeah. Cool. Well, you guys want to wrap up?
Sure.
I think we're going on like 2 hours here.
You said an hour.
I know. You said it was going to go fast.
Yeah.
I go for 4 if you wanted to.
I think
We
all
probably-
of us need some
Should
food.
probably get dinner.
Yeah, I'm going to go get some tacos.
Gonna get the beef.
You ain't going to give me any, man. You ain't going to supply.
He's getting chicken.
No. I got carne asada last night.
Ooh, man, I do like carne
Where's that
asada.
place at?
It's right at the hotel here.
And where we're staying?
No, right next.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where we eat breakfast?
No. The next one, Cowboy Jack's. Is it Cowboy
Yeah, the
Jack's?
Mexican.
Oh,
place.
Yeah, the Mexican. Yes,
That's
yes.
the one we're staying.
That's right. Yeah, they're all in
Oh.
the same place.
I thought you were
that
staying.
place is good.
I thought you were staying at the place that you got breakfast.
No,
Oh.
we just walked down there for breakfast.
Yeah, I saw you
Because
guys.
it's
You were
not-
two lonely boys over there.
Yeah. Well, they have a 79-cent breakfast.
I know. She was like, hey, "Have you heard about our breakfast?"
Well, no, we're trying to save budget, you know.
Even though neither one of us have ordered it yet.
Dang.
79 cents.
French toast and bacon or sausage.
Eggs, home fries, and then a coffee. That's what it was.
All that?
There's
all
no
that.
eggs.
Yeah, there was eggs.
No.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I'm
yeah,
going
there was
there.
eggs.
That's what we're getting tomorrow.
Yeah, there was all that, dude.
Hmm.
Yeah, because the one guy, Peterson, he was sitting right next to me, and the waitress is like, "Yeah, he pointed out that it's the same as this, but you get coffee." And I'm like, "What?"
Dude.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's a steal.
Oh, and French toast.
yeah. The bacon, I'm pretty sure. The bacon I had this morning, it was like
was-
a quarter-inch thick.
Oh,
it's
thick
amazing.
cut bacon.
God.
Had to eat it with a knife.
Dude, it was so good.
Mine was like floppy.
Where'd you eat at?
Same place they were at.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, we went to that one in the bottom of that hotel in town there. Shoot, I can't remember what it's called.
That's too far for me.
Bottom of the hotel. It's like a nice, like real old hotel.
Oh, that.
It's not Mavericks, but it's something like that. It's
What's
like,
the name of that old hotel?
yeah. I don't know. Amazing
We used to
breakfast.
stay there
Hmm.
back in the day
You did?
when we were at the ski hill out here.
Yeah, that's good.
The Lincoln. I want to say it's the Lincoln, but it's not the Lincoln. It's called something. Like
Is it the world's oldest? Yeah.
It's the oldest hotel in
Yeah,
town.
I know what you're talking about. I took pictures of it.
It's got like a big front porch on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Big pillars.
And if you have you
Yeah.
ever been inside of it? Like all
Yeah.
the ceiling fans run off like belts and they go all over the ceiling.
It's a cool
Wow.
joint. It's a cool joint.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yep.
Well, cool beans. Let's wrap up. We've been at it for
Well, thanks
quite
for
some time.
stopping in and doing it.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
fun.
Well, thanks for being on it. on
It's
the
what's
podcast.
crazy is that we didn't even like scratch the surface of things that you could talk about.
Well, we could do a part 2.
Well, I'm just saying, like, isn't it crazy you can talk for 2 hours and like
Really not.
there's so much
Yeah.
to everything. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun though. Thanks.
Yes, for sure. Well, let's plan on a
Season end wrap up or something.
2.0,
Yeah,
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah, part 2, whatever. Yeah, if you get
Sounds
the
good.
top 3 or something in points.
That's so that now I got to hit a standard to do another podcast.
I don't know. If you want to set a standard, I would just say it.
Everybody's got goals.
All right, if we top 3 in points, we'll do another podcast.
Now,
But if we don't-
now it's recorded.
But if we
dude.
don't top 3 in points, we'll still do it.
It
That
just
sounds like a
won't-
good
it just
deal.
won't
Dude,
be
that's
as
a
much-
contradiction, man.
It just won't be as much fun.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crying. It's gonna be a lot of crying. I'll have to have a tissue box here. You know.
Jeez.
We'll do it either way, but if we're top
I'll have a
3,
warm bottle ready for you.
yeah, I might need it. After Duluth last year, I needed it.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
That was rough.
Yeah.
The 3-day events is rough.
Yeah.
That could be on the next one.
Yeah, there's a lot to dig into Duluth 2024. So yeah, we could dig into that one later.
Okay.
That was a fun weekend, man.
Okay.
And it was horrible at the same time. It was like all.
Okay,
all
before we
the
wrap up,
emotions.
was that track too big for you?
Yes. It's
Everything's
terrible.
too big for you.
That's his example for too big of a track.
Yeah. That's like the poster child for this track shouldn't be this big.
Oh my god.
But how boring is that?
I thought it was good.
2 of them, there was not a bump in either one of them straightaways. Like going up
The one going up the hill.
Why
Yeah.
not
Did
have
you
a-
see Anson's get off on the downhill towards the finish line? Oh man, he ate dirt.
Did he?
Dude, yeah, he came down and just like, yeah.
We pull out one of those stories on this podcast. A lot of teams are going to be put to shame.
What's that?
The practice sled story.
Oh God.
All right, now there's a part 2. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, this was the Vignette podcast. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Brian and Jake, for being on here. I appreciate you guys, being on, and look
man.
forward to part 2 and Duluth 2024.
Thanks for having us,
Thanks.
man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool beans.